Chapter 842. Are you thinking about him again? Bibidon looked at Hulena and said with a faint smile. Yes, teacher, don't you miss him? Hulena admitted straightforwardly and even checkmated Bibidon. Why would I miss him? I don't miss that little bastard, Bibidon said. Teacher, you're not being honest. No wonder Abuchi said that you don't mean what you say. Why are you still hiding it from us? Zhuqing already knows about the matter between you and Abuchi. Hulena smiled. Hearing this, Bibidon was shocked. Even Zhuqing knew? She looked at Zhuqing. Zhuqing smiled but didn't say anything. Teacher, your relationship with Abuchi will be known sooner or later. Why do you have to act like a little girl? Hulena said softly as she looked at Bibidon. I'm thinking for Abuchi. I don't care what the world thinks of me, but Abuchi is a genius. He's the pride of the world. I can't taint him because of me. Bibidon shook her head and said indifferently. If even your holiness doesn't care, then Abuchi won't care either. Moreover, in this world, the strong are respected. Once the martial soul palace unifies the continent, even if your holiness and Abuchi get together, no one will dare to say no. Zhuqing's cold voice sounded. Zhuqing is right. As long as teacher and Abuchi are in love, so what if they're master and disciple? It's just a small matter. If not, like what Abuchi said, you can expel him from the sect first. Then, there won't be any obstacles between you two. Teacher, haven't you already gotten rid of all your worries with Abuchi? Why are you worried now? Hulena said. His Holiness the Pope is overthinking because he cares too much about Abuchi. That damned bastard just has to make us worry the most. He's been in seclusion for so long. I wonder what's going on now. I can only feel the aura, but I can't see the person. It's always worrying. Zhuqing said faintly, but her tone was filled with deep concern. Yes, Zhuqing's voice fell. Bibidon and Hulena could not help but nod at the same time. Lake Heart Island, Lu Yuan's place of seclusion. In the empty house, the furnishings were simple. A huge wooden barrel was placed in the middle of the room. In the wooden barrel, the golden blood that had filled the barrel had long since disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by a layer of black-red bloody mud. The pure blood that belonged to the true dragon's heart blood had long been absorbed into Lu Yuan's body, while the impurities in Lu Yuan's body and the dregs in his blood had been completely expelled. At this moment, Lu Yuan's skin was white and delicate. His originally jade-like body had become even more flawless, and even carried a kind of divine aura. The surface of his skin faintly glowed with golden light, which meant that Lu Yuan's defense had reached a new level. Suddenly, Lu Yuan opened his eyes abruptly. Suddenly, there was a burst of light, and in the void, there was a flash of lightning. Light from thought, electricity from the empty room. This was an extremely high level. Golden light flickered in his eyes, and golden blood chi filled the air. Lu Yuan's body began to rapidly climb with dazzling golden dragon scales. If the golden dragon scales were originally diamond-shaped, then now the scales were in a completely different fan shape. Moreover, each scale carried a divine golden light. It was obvious that it had a great restraining power against evil. Two bulges gradually rose from the top of Lu Yuan's head, and then slowly grew bigger. Finally, they turned into two dragon horns. A pair of golden dragon wings stretched out from his back, and gently stretched out. The wind it carried caused the wooden barrel that Lu Yuan was standing on to explode. Gently clenching his fist, he only felt a boundless power burst out from his body. With a punch, there was a low sound in the air. The fist force formed a terrifying air cannon, and directly blew up the door in front of him. Roar! Lu Yuan roared to the sky. The loud and clear dragon roar resounded, and instantly enveloped the entire island in the middle of the lake. Hiss! Such a tyrannical dragon aura. Abuchi must have completed his evolution. Bibidon was the first to feel the dragon roar, and immediately said, "Then let's hurry over and take a look," Hulena said. Bibidon and Zhuqing nodded. The three of them quickly flashed and rushed in the direction of Lu Yuan. The dragon roar resounded for a long time. After the breath in Lu Yuan's chest was exhaled, it slowly stopped. Lu Yuan had just recovered his mind and glanced around, and 3 graceful figures appeared in his line of sight. "Ah, you little bastard, why aren't you wearing clothes?" Looking at Lu Yuan's current naked appearance, Hu Lena and Zhu Zhuqing were fine, but Bibidon was the first to scream. This was the first time she saw a man naked. "Why are you screaming? You will see it sooner or later. Moreover, my bloodline has transformed. How can I wear clothes?" Rolling his eyes, Lu Yuan said snappily. "That's right. Teacher, you will see it sooner or later. Why are you being shy now?" Hu Lena said softly. Her gaze swept over Lu Yuan's body, and her eyes lit up. "Abuchi, your figure has become even better. Do you like it?" Lu Yuan asked with a faint smile. "I like it." Hu Lena nodded honestly. "Then wash up tonight and wait," Lu Yuan said. "Okay," Hu Lena said with a smile. "You guys go first. I need to wash up. Of course, if you want to observe, I have no objections." Lu Yuan looked at the 3 of them and said with a half smile. "Who wants to observe? Little bastard, you are still the same. Nana, Zhuqing, let's go." Bibidon looked away and said indifferently. "Okay then. What a pity. I wanted to watch for a while longer." Hu Lena's expression was a little regretful. Bibidon, Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan and then looked at Bibidon with a faint smile on her face. These 2 people are a little interesting. Moreover, even the dignified Pope would be shy when faced with this kind of thing. She is no different from an ordinary girl. Bibidon left. After so many years, this was the first time she saw a man's body. Her heart was a little unsettled. She was shy, panicked, and had a little bit of indescribable expectation. This was a very complicated feeling. Since Bibidon left, Hu Lena and Zhu Zhuqing naturally followed her. Looking at Bibidon's back that quickly swept away, Lu Yuan smiled faintly. "I didn't expect this woman to have such a cute side. She is really interesting. She actually saw my body and ran away shyly. But since she had seen him naked today, shouldn't he find a chance to see it back? Courtesy demands reciprocity. This doesn't seem to be wrong," Lu Yuan thought to himself. Chapter 843. Lu Yuan smiled faintly, then looked at his body. Although it was pure and flawless, sitting in the wooden barrel for a long time, coupled with the impurities in his body being expelled, made his body a little dirty. Soul power surged, Lu Yuan casually pointed, and the water elements in the air quickly condensed, immediately forming streams of clean water. Water element control was an ability that he would never have had before the evolution, but for the current him, it was a piece of cake. Dragons were born with the ability to control water, especially true pure-blooded true dragons. In addition to their unbelievably strong bodies, their control of the elements was also at the peak. Especially water and fire control, these were simply innate abilities. Streams of pure water washed his body clean. Soul power circulated, evaporating the water droplets on his body, and Lu Yuan took out a new set of clothes to change into. Suddenly, the white clothes fluttered, and the extraordinary aura of Lu Yuan returned. Although the evolution of the bloodline this time was indescribably painful, the benefits were also incomparably great. Feeling the tyrannical bloodline power in his body, who knew how many times stronger, Lu Yuan said softly. The second-generation Golden Dragon bloodline was already incomparably strong, but compared to his current bloodline, the difference was incalculable. Originally, after only relying on the divine power of clear air to evolve, his bloodline was already comparable to the dragon god, but now it was definitely far superior. The benefits were too great, and he didn't know what level he was at now. System, open my personal interface. After thinking about it, Lu Yuan directly connected to the system. Ding, personal interface has been opened. Host, Lu Yuan Martial Soul, 5-clawed Golden Dragon King, God-slaying spear innate talent, born with Polychoria physique, demigod bloodline, 5-clawed Golden Dragon King rank 70 Soul Emperor Soul rings, black red soul bones, Atlas palm bone, dark golden Terror claw right palm bone, Golden Dragon battle armor, Titan giant ape left arm bone cultivation method, clear air scripture, first half, skills, true dragon treasured skill, incomplete, Polychoria, 6 great soul ring skills. 4 forms of the sea god's divine skill, spear technique series, bloodline self-created soul skills, etc. Weapon, Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear, Supra Divine Weapon, Golden Dragon Spear, Divine Weapon. Items, Clear Air Divine Seed, Sea God's Heart, Star Ring, Immortal Herbs, Pills, Soul Tools, etc. Demigod Body. So, unknowingly, my physique has already entered the divine level. Lu Yuan couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the physique column in the system panel. His body was already very strong, and after so many transformations, he had already surpassed any human soul master in the world. With the constant nourishment of the pure energy and the baptism of the true dragon's heartblood, he had finally become a demigod. He was only a step away from becoming a god. Among the human soul masters, only Tang Chen, who had completed the Asura's 8 tests and had been transformed by the Asura god's divine power, possessed a demigod body. However, at that time, Tang Chen's body was already very broken. He could not unleash the power of a demigod at all. In fact, a demigod's body was actually very strong. After becoming a demigod, the age of my soul rings has increased tremendously. Roughly speaking, even if I kill the Snow Emperor or Di Tian, I can still withstand their soul rings. In other words, I can withstand at least 7 to 800,000 year soul rings without too much pressure. Amazing. The transformation this time is really like being reborn. The true dragon's heartblood is indeed the true dragon's heartblood. It's really extraordinary. There's also the incomplete true dragon treasured skill. My luck is not bad. I really obtained 2 of the loose moves. The power of this thing is definitely beyond my expectations. Lu Yuan thought to himself. Not bad, I'm very happy. Lu Yuan smiled gently. After that, he closed the system panel. Let's have a meal. After eating, I'll condense my 7th soul ring. Lu Yuan said softly. He was about to step out of the room. Suddenly, there was a fluctuation in the surrounding space, causing him to stop in his tracks. Who is it? Come out. A cold light flashed in Lu Yuan's eyes. The Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear instantly appeared in his hand. Golden blood energy filled the air, and a tyrannical dragon's might immediately swept out. What, after not seeing each other for so long, you want to attack me as soon as we meet? A gentle voice sounded in Lu Yuan's ears, causing him to immediately stop his actions. A crack appeared in the void, and the silver-haired, purple-eyed Jiyu Yuana walked out. Her beautiful eyes blinked as she looked at Lu Yuan with a trace of resentment. Naya. Looking at this figure, Lu Yuan couldn't help but reveal a smile on his face. He hadn't seen Jiyu Yuana for a long time, and seeing her today really made him pleasantly surprised. You still remember me. I thought you forgot about me. It's been more than 2 years, and you haven't come to see me even once. Jiyu Yuana's purple eyes looked at Lu Yuan. Her eyes were full of complaints. Hehe, I have something to do. I don't have time. Lu Yuan chuckled. He looked a little embarrassed. Do you have so much to do? You don't even have so much time. Jiyu Yuana glanced at Lu Yuan and asked indifferently. I really don't have time. My schedule is very tight. Listen to me. After putting away the Dragon Emperor Spring Spear, Lu Yuan took 2 steps forward and held Jiyu Yuana's hand. He had a sincere expression on his face as he recounted everything that had happened after he left the Great Star Do Forest. How is it? I didn't lie to you, did I? My schedule is really full. Lu Yuan said softly. You pass. But why were you so reckless? You didn't come to find me for something as important as your bloodline evolution. You would have been much safer with me around. Jiyu Yuana complained softly. It's my fault. But it's mainly because my bloodline evolution was too rushed. I didn't have time to rush over. I've made you worry. Lu Yuan said gently. It's good that you know. Do you know how worried I was when I sensed the situation when you were breaking through? If something like this happens again in the future, you have to find me immediately to protect you. I can help you. Jiyu Yuana said. Of course, Lu Yuan said softly. He wrapped his hands around Jiyu Yuana's waist and pulled her into his embrace. You've become a lot prettier. Lu Yuan said with a smile as he looked at Jiyu Yuana's flawless face. For someone like him who was obsessed with appearances, looking at Jiyu Yuana's perfect face was a form of enjoyment. You've become a lot more handsome too, Jiyu Yuana said as she stared intently at Lu Yuan's face. After experiencing the baptism of the true dragon's heartblood, Lu Yuan's body had been cleansed of all impurities. He had become a demigod, and he had gained a special characteristic that he didn't have in the past. He had indeed become a lot more handsome. Especially after his bloodline evolution, his body exuded an invisible aura that was even more attractive to women. Even Jiyu Yuana couldn't take her eyes off him. Chapter 844. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Jiyu Yuana's praise naturally put him in a good mood. Looking at Jiyu Yuana's jade-like face and sniffing her alluring fragrance, Lu Yuan's mood fluctuated slightly. Seeing Jiyu Yuana again, the longing that had been hidden in his heart for a long time quickly spread out. Since you're here, don't leave. Stay with me for a while. How about I show you around? Lu Yuan asked gently as he gazed at Jiyu Yuana's noble purple eyes. Okay. Jiyu Yuana nodded gently and said, You said that you would take me to travel around the continent. I've been waiting for this day. Haha, I'll keep my word. This time, I'll take you to the Heaven Do Empire. My Dragon King Palace is there. Oh, there's also the Icefire Yin-Yang Well. That's also the old haunt of the Dragon Clan. The remnant soul of the Icefire Dragon King is still there and hasn't dissipated. Lu Yuan said gently. You can arrange it. I'll listen to you. Jiyu Yuana lowered her head slightly and leaned against Lu Yuan's chest as she spoke softly. In front of Lu Yuan, she was always as gentle as water. Getting along with Jiyu Yuana was a very comfortable experience. Hearing Jiyu Yuana's words, Lu Yuan smiled faintly. His left hand gently wrapped around Jiyu Yuana's waist as he raised his right hand and gently stroked her silver hair. Her crystal-like silver hair felt so good to the touch that Lu Yuan couldn't bear to part with it. How's your strength recovering? Lu Yuan asked softly as he gently stroked her hair. I've already recovered to the level of a first-tier god. Your esoteric character is very useful. Jiyu Yuana looked at Lu Yuan, her purple eyes filled with gentleness. If it weren't for Lu Yuan, she didn't know how many years it would take for her to completely recover. You've recovered to the level of a first-tier god. That's fast. With your level of a first-tier god and the help of the esoteric character, as well as your powerful spiritual power, I'm afraid you're invincible among the first-tier gods. Ari, my wife is too powerful. I'm under a lot of pressure. Lu Yuan sighed softly. Poochie. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Jiyu Yuana couldn't help but laugh and said, No matter how powerful I am, I won't do anything to you. Moreover, you will definitely be stronger than me in the future. You are our hope. Besides, you're not too bad now. You have the body of a demigod and mental strength of a half-step to the limit. Especially that bloodline in your body. Although it's restrained, it still makes me a little scared. I don't know how far your bloodline has evolved. It's just like that. It's just a little stronger than the dragon god's bloodline. Lu Yuan said with a faint smile, with an indifferent expression on his face. Jiyu Yuana was speechless. The dragon god's bloodline was already known to be the most powerful bloodline on the Douluo continent. This guy's bloodline had evolved to be even more powerful than the dragon gods, yet he still seemed to be very dissatisfied. This made Jiyu Yuana, who had always been good-tempered, want to beat him up. Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile at the sight of Jiyu Yuana's expression. Jiyu Yuana and the others all viewed the dragon god as their paramount faith, and the dragon god's bloodline was extremely powerful. Now that she had heard his words, her heart was definitely trembling. You're still smiling? This is the first time I've seen you asking for a beating. Jiyu Yuana glanced at Lu Yuan with a displeased expression. It was just a joke to liven up the atmosphere. A faint smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face as he lowered his head to make contact with Jiyu Yuana's forehead, and said, I did indeed reap a lot of rewards from my recent evolution. The main reason for that is because I obtained a drop of heart blood from a pure-blooded true dragon. A pure-blooded true dragon? It's that powerful? Jiu Yuana was rather stunned to hear this. Since when were true dragons so powerful that Lu Yuan's bloodline had surpassed that of the dragon gods? The true dragon I'm referring to is a true dragon, not the so-called giant dragons of the Douluo continent that you're thinking of. I'm going to say something that you might not be able to accept, but please don't get too worked up. Lu Yuan said in a soft voice. Go ahead, I won't get worked up, Jiu Yuana replied. What I want to say is that all of the dragons on the Douluo continent are actually only mixed-blood dragons, including the dragon god. It's also a mixed-blood dragon, and it's far inferior to a true dragon. Look, this is what a true dragon should look like. Lu Yuan pointed his finger forward, and the water in the air surged before forming a series of roaring five-clawed true dragons. Isn't this the type of dragon that you created with your soul skill, dragon roaming the great void? Jiu Yuana asked. That's right, this is the form of a true dragon, Lu Yuan replied in a warm voice. I've never seen this type of dragon before, Jiu Yuana said with a shake of her head at the sight of Lu Yuan's true dragon form. It's normal that you've never seen one before as there are no true dragons on the Douluo continent, Lu Yuan said. Then how did you obtain the heart blood? Jiu Yuana asked as she turned to Lu Yuan. Well, I've always been special, haven't I? Lu Yuan replied. That's true, you're different. Jiu Yuana nodded in response. She knew that Lu Yuan wasn't from the Douluo continent, and he had a mysterious background, so it wasn't all that unbelievable that he'd been able to obtain the heart blood of a true dragon. Then has your bloodline evolved to that of a pure-blooded true dragon? Jiu Yuana asked. I'm not a pure-blooded true dragon, but I'm not too far away from it. Furthermore, my bloodline is a little strange. It possesses the characteristics of both pure-blooded true dragons and Douluo dragons. I have the body of an eastern dragon and the wings of a western dragon. Due to the fact that my bloodline evolved from the Golden Dragon King, I call it the five-clawed Golden Dragon King. However, this form is rather similar to a type of dragon known as the Godly Dragon. Lu Yuan explained in a soft voice. Godly Dragon? What kind of dragon is that? Jiu Yuana's eyes widened slightly upon hearing this. She'd never heard of this dragon before. Godly Dragon, I'll tell you about it slowly. Lu Yuan pressed his forehead against Jiu Yuana's, and he began to slowly tell her about the Godly Dragon. At the same time, he introduced all types of other powerful dragons to Jiu Yuana. Jiu Yuana's beautiful purple eyes were wide open as she listened to Lu Yuan's story with an unblinking gaze. She was very interested in the strange dragons that Lu Yuan was describing. Do you understand now? Lu Yuan asked in a gentle voice as he gently nuzzled Jiu Yuana's pretty face. I understand. I wouldn't have known if you hadn't told me, but now that you've mentioned it, I feel like my bloodline is very weak. Jiu Yuana spoke softly. She was a little shocked to hear Lu Yuan talk about powerful dragons, and for the first time, she felt that the bloodline of the Silver Dragon King was just SOSO. She was the great ruler of all soul beasts on the Douluo continent. She had always been proud of her bloodline, but after hearing Lu Yuan's words today, she realized just how ignorant and ill-informed she was. Haha, you're thinking too much. That's a dragon that only exists in other large worlds. You're very powerful in the Douluo world, really. Lu Yuan first laughed before beginning to comfort Jiu Yuana. Chapter 845. That's true, but I still can't feel happy. Jiu Yu said softly. Suddenly knowing that she was so weak, and that there were so many powerful dragons above her, it would be strange if she didn't feel shocked. Ancestral dragon, winged dragon, torch dragon, and so on made her scalp tingle. She really didn't expect that there would be such powerful dragons in the world. Compared to this, she was really beaten to a pulp in an instant. Then let's talk about something that will make you happy. My bloodline has evolved, so now we can do that. And if we are lucky, maybe we can have a descendant with a powerful bloodline. Lu Yuan said softly with a strange smile on his face. As soon as these words came out, Jiu Yuana's pretty face suddenly blushed. When they were in the Great Star Do Forest, she actually took the initiative, but Lu Yuan refused at that time because he said that his bloodline had not evolved. And now that his bloodline had finally evolved, They could indeed do that. Let's have a little dragon god. Our bloodlines are so pure, and we have to pass it down. Lu Yuan leaned close to Jiu Yuana's ear and whispered. Jiu Yuana said softly. If one didn't listen carefully, they wouldn't be able to hear it clearly. But Lu Yuan's perception was sensitive, and he heard this soft voice clearly. With a thought, Lu Yuan lowered his head slightly and sealed Jiu Yuana's red lips. After not seeing each other for a long time, the two of them were naturally very intimate. After a while, Lu Yuan held Jiu Yuana's hand and walked out. Lu Yuan's temperament was like an immortal, and Jiu Yuana was as perfect as a goddess. The two of them walking together were really a perfect match. The two of them should be the peak of male and female appearance in the entire Douluo continent. After absorbing the true dragon's heartblood, Lu Yuan's appearance improved again, and it had reached an indescribable level. And Jiu Yuana was, needless to say, the title of the #1 beauty in the Douluo world was not undeserved. Even the current Chihiro Snow and Bibidon were inferior to her. The two of them walked out hand in hand towards the pavilion in the middle of the lake. Hey, am I seeing things? There seems to be a woman next to Ibuchi. Helena was far away. She couldn't see clearly. I'm not mistaken. It's a woman. But where did this woman come from? The martial soul palace is so heavily guarded. How did she get in? Zhu Zhuqing narrowed her eyes and asked in a cold voice. They're holding hands. That little bastard wouldn't be so close to a woman he doesn't know. If I'm not wrong, that woman should be Jiu Yuana. She's so strong, it wouldn't be difficult for her to sneak into the martial soul palace. Bibidon glanced around and said indifferently, it should be her. Among Ibuchi's women, she's the only one I haven't seen, Zhu Zhuqing said. Who are those people? As they walked, Jiu Yuana suddenly sensed Bibidong and the others' gazes and asked with a puzzled expression. They're all my women. Lu Yuan chuckled. That Chihiro Snow isn't here, but there are 3 of them. Did you find them again after you got together with me? Jiu Yuana was stunned at first. Then, she seemed to think of something. Her purple eyes swept towards Lu Yuan. I can't do anything about it. Lu Yuan scratched his head and said embarrassedly, like hell I'll believe you. You're such a playboy. Tell me honestly, how many girlfriends do you have? Jiu Yuana asked. Not many. Including you, only 6. Lu Yuan smiled. 6 isn't a lot. How many more do you want? Jiu Yuana stared at Lu Yuan and asked indifferently. I'm not looking anymore. I won't even have time to rest if I look for another week. Lu Yuan smirked and said. You're really a pervert. Jiu Yuana was stunned at first. Only after thinking about it carefully did she understand what Lu Yuan meant. She couldn't help but spit. Thanks for the compliment. It's a man's nature. Besides, I'm a dragon. Lu Yuan glanced at Jiu Yuana and said with a faint smile. Jiu Yuana, encountering such a Lu Yuan, she was really at her wit's end. His skin was so thick that even the city walls might not be comparable to it. Moreover, she had always been gentle to Lu Yuan. Although she was powerful, she really couldn't control Lu Yuan. On the contrary, she basically listened to Lu Yuan. Let's go. It's time for you to meet each other. Lu Yuan chuckled. He took Jiu Yuana's hand and walked quickly into the pavilion in the middle of the lake. So beautiful. Bibidon and the other two's gazes fell on Jiu Yuana as soon as Lu Yuan and the other 2 arrived. Jiu Yuana's perfect appearance shocked them immediately. No wonder Ibuchi can't forget about you. I didn't expect there to be such a beautiful woman in this world. Helena looked straight at Jiu Yuana and couldn't help but sigh. You're really beautiful. No wonder Chioa always said that her sister Na was the most beautiful. Zhu Zhuqing was also captivated for a moment. She couldn't help but praise softly. Such a face is really stunning. Little bastard, why are you so lucky that such a beautiful person fell in love with you? Bibidon sighed softly, then turned to look at Lu Yuan. I can't help it. Who asked me to be so charming? Lu Yuan spread his hands and said helplessly. Bah. 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 Bibidon and the other 2 spat at the same time. Lu Yuan, you're still so shameless. Hee. Lu Yuan chuckled when he saw what the three of them were doing. He wasn't angry at all. Let me introduce you. This is Jiu Yuana, the possessor of the Silver Dragon bloodline. She and I are a match made in heaven. Lu Yuan said softly. Hello, welcome to the Martial Soul Palace. I'm Pope Bibidon of the Martial Soul Palace. Bibidon ignored Lu Yuan and greeted Jiu Yuana directly. This was the first time that Lu Yuan had seen Bibidon take the initiative to greet someone. Bibidon was a limit Douluo, and she could sense how terrifying Jiu Yuana was. She was a powerful being who exceeded the imagination of ordinary people, so her attitude towards Jiu Yuana was quite good. The strong were revered, and this was reflected in all aspects of the Douluo continent. Hello, I'm the Holy Maiden of the Martial Soul Palace, Hulena. Hello, I'm Zhu Zhuqing. Hulena and Zhu Zhuqing also greeted Bibidon. Hello, I'm Jiu Yuana, Jiu Yuana said softly. Alright, there's no need to be so formal. We're going to be a family in the future, so there's no need to be so formal. Let's sit down and talk. Lu Yuan said softly as he pulled Jiu Yuana to sit down on a stone bench. Bibidon and the others were very interested in meeting Jiu Yuana for the first time, and their eyes were constantly on her. Chapter 846. Jiu Yuana, on the other hand, wasn't shy at all. Her actions were appropriate and natural. Bibidon, the Pope, couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Moreover, with her keen senses, she could clearly sense the superior temperament in Jiu Yuana's bones. It was obvious that Jiu Yuana was in a high position like her. She didn't know what Jiu Yuana's identity was and how Lu Yuan managed to kidnap her. As she thought about this, Bibidon's eyes unconsciously glanced at Lu Yuan. What are you looking at? Why are you looking around? Lu Yuan said snappily when he felt Bibidon's eyes darting around. I can't even look at you now? Bibidon asked indifferently. Of course you can. I'll let you look at me to your heart's content tonight. Lu Yuan smiled. Bah, you wish, Bibidon said coquettishly. This guy wanted to take advantage of her again. How could she run away when they were together in the middle of the night? She wasn't ready for the final step yet. Hearing Bibidon's words, Lu Yuan smiled faintly. He knew that Bibidon wasn't ready, and he wouldn't force her. This kind of thing was more interesting after all. By the way, Dong arrange for someone to prepare a room for Na later. She'll be staying here for a few days, Lu Yuan said softly as he looked at Bibidon. I know. Just leave it to me. Bibidon's red lips parted slightly as she said indifferently. I'm relieved when you're handling things. Lu Yuan smiled. Hearing this, Bibidon's expression didn't change, but she was a little happy in her heart. She looked at Lu Yuan and asked, Did your bloodline evolution go smoothly this time? Hulena and Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but look at Lu Yuan. They were most concerned about Lu Yuan's situation. It went quite well. My bloodline has successfully evolved from a golden dragon to a 5-clawed golden dragon king. My martial soul is now the #1 beast martial soul on the continent. Lu Yuan said gently. Have you condensed your 7th soul ring? Bibidon asked. Not yet. I'm a little hungry. Let's talk after dinner. I haven't eaten for 3 months, Lu Yuan said. Haha. Hearing this, Hulena could not help but laugh. What are you laughing at? Lu Yuan looked at Hulena. It's nothing. I just find it a little funny. You haven't eaten for 3 months. Those who don't know would think that you're living a miserable life. Hulena said with a smile. Indeed. I used to see those beggars say that they haven't eaten for 3 days. Give them some. You're amazing. You haven't eaten for 3 months. Zhu Zhuqing's cold voice sounded. There was a hint of teasing in her tone. Lu Yuan, hearing the two girls' words, Lu Yuan's face darkened. Are they comparing me to a beggar? Seeing Lu Yuan's slightly dark face, Bibidon was also a little amused and said indifferently, Okay, stop fooling around. Since Abuchi is hungry, let's eat first. It's almost noon. Okay, teacher, you have the final say. Abuchi, eat more later. Helena blinked and said with a playful face. Lu Yuan, looking at Helena's beautiful face full of smiles, Lu Yuan said indifferently, wash up and wait tonight. You'll be alone tonight. As soon as he said that, Helena's face fell. If Abuchi wanted to take revenge, she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to do it alone. Abuchi, why don't we add the Zhuqing gang to help? She was also involved just now. With that thought, Helena immediately pulled someone to be her scapegoat. Zhuqing. She looked at Helena with her clear eyes wide open. What happened to being good sisters? Were they betrayed just like that? What a pair of plastic sisters. Okay, the two of you will be together tonight. Lu Yuan said softly and glanced at Bibidon. Look at you. Don't tell me you have something to say. Do you want to join? No, you'd better look for the two of them. Bibidon immediately pulled out. Dead Daoist and undead Daoist, you guys can mess around. She didn't want to get involved. What a pity. Hearing this, Lu Yuan couldn't help but sigh softly. Bibidon couldn't help but secretly spit. As expected, this guy wanted to do something to her. After the order was given, lunch was soon ready. After eating lunch together and chatting for a while, Lu Yuan prepared to go into seclusion to condense his bloodline soul ring. What he said just now was just a joke. Condensing his soul ring was the real deal. Abuchi, if you want to condense your soul ring, bring me along. I came for this matter. Jiu Yuana said softly as she pulled Lu Yuan's sleeve. En. Lu Yuan was slightly surprised, but looking at Jiu Yuana's serious expression, he nodded. Then come along. Douluo, you guys chat. Na and I will go first. Lu Yuan said to Bibidon and the others. Don't worry, go. Be careful, Bibidon said. I will. Lu Yuan replied softly as he held Jiu Yuana's hand and walked towards a place not far away. After finding an empty room, Lu Yuan and Na walked in. Standing slightly upright, Lu Yuan looked into Jiu Yuana's eyes and asked in a low voice, Na, what do you want to say now? My seventh soul ring is a bloodline soul ring. How can you help me? Of course I have a way. Look at this. Jiu Yuana said as she waved her hand, and a golden bead appeared in her hand. Suddenly, rich energy fluctuations swept out, causing Lu Yuan to raise his eyebrows. This thing is not simple. Such powerful energy fluctuations, and it actually contains divine power? Looking at the golden bead, Lu Yuan couldn't help but say in a serious voice. This is the second-generation Golden Dragon's God Core, Jiu Yuana said softly. The second-generation Golden Dragon's God Core? It left something like this behind. Lu Yuan was a little surprised as he asked. It did. However, although this God Core belonged to it, it has already lost a small portion of its divine power. Jiu Yuana said. A small portion of its divine power has been lost. What's going on? Tell me, Lu Yuan said. It's like this. When the second-generation Golden Dragon reached the end of its lifespan, the divine power and bloodline in its God Core began to seep out. Generally speaking, the God Core is the core of a God Beast. Bloodline essence and divine power are stored in the God Core. But back then, that supreme purple light forcefully extracted the bloodline essence from the God Core and created you. As a result, only origin divine power is left in the God Core. Without the bloodline essence, the divine power in the God Core began to seep out faster. If I hadn't sealed it in time, I'm afraid that the entire God Core's origin divine power would have dissipated. Even so, it still lost a small portion of its divine power. It's a pity that the Golden Dragon's origin divine power is very beneficial to you. Jiu Yuana sighed softly. Chapter 847. There's nothing to regret. There's still more than half of the divine origin power left. You've already done your best. Furthermore, the second-generation Golden Dragon is a first-tier god. I don't have the ability to absorb its complete divine origin power. Lu Yuan said gently. That's true. Jiu Yuana couldn't help but smile at Lu Yuan's words. If anyone below the god rank dared to touch the complete origin power of a first-tier god, there would only be one result: their body would explode and they would die. So, you want to use this thing to help me condense my seventh soul ring? Lu Yuan asked softly as he gently caressed Jiyu Yuana's face. Yes. I plan to use your bloodline soul ring as the foundation and fuse it with the second-generation Golden Dragon's divine origin power to create a divine ring for you. It will lay the foundation for you to become a god, Jiyu Yuana said softly. Divine ring. Do you think I can fuse with a divine ring with my current physique? Lu Yuan smiled bitterly. A divine ring wasn't a million-year soul ring. It was much more domineering than a million-year soul ring. A million-year soul ring could only be transformed into a divine ring after its owner became a god and was branded with divine power. It could be said that a million-year soul ring only had the foundation to become a god-rank soul ring, but it wasn't actually a god-rank soul ring. A true god-rank soul ring was very powerful. Jiyu Yuana wanted to use Lu Yuan's bloodline soul ring as the foundation and the second-generation Golden Dragon's divine origin power as the energy to create a divine ring. It wasn't impossible because the second-generation Golden Dragon was a true god and Lu Yuan's bloodline was unimaginably powerful. The combination of the two was actually very promising. However, the problem was that Lu Yuan couldn't withstand the power of a god-rank soul ring at all. A demigod body was indeed very powerful. It could even withstand a million-year soul ring after a period of growth. However, it was impossible to perfectly withstand a divine ring unless the demigod body evolved into a god body. How could it be so simple to evolve into a god body? I know you can't withstand the divine ring, and you can't completely absorb the divine power within the divine core. But with me here, I can use my own divine power to protect you. I've already recovered to the level of a first-tier god. You also have the assistance of the clear air divine power and the vast ocean divine power, and the origin divine power of the second-generation Golden Dragon is extremely compatible with you, so you won't feel any discomfort. On top of that, your demigod body can withstand a 900,000-year soul ring. If that's the case, you should be able to withstand it even if your soul rings are increased to 1,000,000 years. As for the energy you can't absorb from the divine ring, you can divide it into 3 parts. First, use it to promote the evolution of the attached soul bone. Second, use it to increase the age of your other soul rings. Thirdly, the remaining energy is sealed in your soul bone. You can slowly absorb the energy from it. With this 3-pronged approach, no matter how much divine energy the second-generation Golden Dragon's divine core transforms into, you'll still be able to absorb it all. Jiyu Yuana analyzed seriously. Lu Yuan was touched by Jiyu Yuana's words. Her arrangements were so logical and detailed, so she must have thought about it for a long time. Perhaps she had been preparing for this day since a long time ago. With that in mind, Lu Yuan looked at Jiyu Yuana's serious expression, and he couldn't help but reach out and gently embrace her. What's wrong? Jiyu Yuana was taken aback by Lu Yuan's embrace, and she looked at him with a puzzled expression. It's so good to have you around. Lu Yuan said softly. Jiyu Yuana had done so much for him all this time, but he couldn't help her with anything, so he felt a little guilty. Jiyu Yuana couldn't help but smile when she heard this, and she also gently embraced Lu Yuan. You're also very good to me, so there's no need to stand on ceremony between us, Jiyu Yuana said gently. Yes. Lu Yuan buried his head in Jiyu Yuana's silvery hair and murmured softly. Lu Yuan gently called out. What's wrong? Jiyu Yuana asked again. Nothing. Lu Yuan opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he didn't say it in the end. The two of them hugged quietly for a while, and Lu Yuan said softly, when you finish absorbing the soul ring, I'll teach you a claw technique. After thinking for a long time, he was prepared to teach Jiyu Yuana the true dragon claw of the true dragon treasured skill. He had absorbed the true dragon's heartblood, and relied on his excellent perception to comprehend the 3 moves of the true dragon treasured skill. They were the dragon control technique, dragon roar, and true dragon claw. The dragon control technique could control all dragons in the world, and it could even transform one's true chi into a true dragon to defend against enemies. The dragon roar's sound wave attack contained a strong dragon's might, and it could shatter one's courage and cause one's soul to scatter. The true dragon claw's attack was unparalleled, and there was nothing it couldn't break. It was definitely Lu Yuan's strongest attack skill. Once this skill was unleashed, all beasts would bow their heads. For example, the dragon god's claw that Di Tian was so proud of was nothing compared to the true dragon claw. The true dragon treasured skill belonged to the dragon race, and humans without the dragon bloodline couldn't use it to their fullest potential. It wasn't like the 9 esoteric arts, which was a human race secret art that was innately suited for humans. Furthermore, he had only just comprehended the true dragon treasured skill, so he didn't want to teach it to anyone. But how could he bear to keep it to himself after Jiu Yuana treated him so well? If he taught the true dragon claw to Jiu Yuana, even if she didn't have the dragon bloodline, her battle prowess would be greatly enhanced. After all, Jiu Yuana was a silver dragon king, and no matter what, she was still a dragon. Teach me a claw technique. I'm a clone of the dragon god, so I know the dragon god's claw. You don't have to teach me a claw technique. Oh right, do you want to learn the dragon god's claw? I can teach you. Jiu Yuana looked at Lu Yuan and asked in a gentle voice. Hearing this, Lu Yuan was even more moved. He kissed Jiu Yuana's forehead and said, "There's no need for the dragon god's claw. What I want to teach you is the true dragon claw of a pure-blooded dragon. Its attack power is unrivaled in this world, and if you use it, your power will definitely rise to another level. Once you recover your original strength, with the esoteric secret art and the true dragon claw, you'll be able to put up a fight even against the Azura god, who has the strongest attack power. Perhaps he won't even be a match for you. The true dragon claw of a pure-blooded dragon? That's too precious." Jiu Yuana's voice trembled slightly. She didn't need to think to know that this technique from a pure-blooded dragon would be unimaginably powerful. "You're good to me, so I naturally won't be stingy. Don't refuse," Lu Yuan said in a gentle voice. "All right." Jiu Yuana nodded gently and replied in a gentle voice. She looked at Lu Yuan with deep affection in her eyes. The true dragon claw was definitely far more valuable than the second-generation golden dragon's divine core, but Lu Yuan was still willing to give it to her, just like how he had taught her the esoteric secret art. She would remember this kindness in her heart. In the end, she hadn't fallen in love with the wrong person. Lu Yuan's love for her was also very deep. This little man always said that he hadn't helped her, but in reality, he had already helped her enough. Chapter 848. From the life spirit crystal to the secret character to the true dragon claw, he didn't give her many things, but they were all valuable treasures. This was especially so for the secret character and the true dragon claw. Their value couldn't be measured by ordinary items. In comparison, the golden dragon spear and the second-generation golden dragon's god's core couldn't compare. Come to think of it, this man is quite generous. He's also quite generous. Jiu Yuana thought to herself. Oh yes, since the second-generation golden dragon's god's core is here, does that mean its soul bone is here too? Lu Yuan suddenly thought of something, and couldn't help but ask. Even 100,000-year soul beasts would produce soul bones, let alone the second-generation golden dragon. It would definitely produce a soul bone. Of course it does. The second-generation golden dragon's god-tier soul bone is my second gift to you. It's also used to seal the divine ring's power. Otherwise, an ordinary 100,000-year soul bone wouldn't be able to store much of the divine ring's power. Let go of me first, and I'll show it to you. Jiu Yuana said softly. All right, Lu Yuan replied. After that, he gently let go of Jiu Yuana's waist. Jiu Yuana took a step back. Light flashed in her hand, and a bright golden soul bone appeared in her hand. This was a right arm bone. It was an extremely complete and mystical right arm bone. There were dense undulations of divine power on it. The entire soul bone didn't seem like an inanimate object. Instead, it seemed more like a living being. It was full of life. Furthermore, because they came from the same source, Lu Yuan felt a sense of closeness to it. This is the golden dragon's right arm bone. It's hard to find a more suitable soul bone for you. Furthermore, given the golden dragon's pride, only you can absorb its soul bone. Even Chioa can't do it. Her golden dragon bloodline is too thin. Jiu Yuana said softly. After hearing this, Lu Yuan couldn't help but nod. Even the Ice Jade Scorpion's soul bone had its own pride. Apart from those with ultimate ice martial souls, no one else could absorb it. Furthermore, it was the soul bone of the second-generation Golden Dragon. In the entire continent, the only person who could absorb its soul bone was Lu Yuan. Although Lu Yuan's bloodline had evolved, the special characteristics of the Golden Dragon bloodline had been preserved. In fact, it had even been enhanced. Therefore, absorbing this soul bone was not a problem for him. Abuchi, absorb it. With it, your physique will be strengthened by a lot. When the time comes, even if you rely on yourself, you should be able to withstand a million-year soul ring. With my protection, the formation of the divine ring is even more assured. Gu Yuana said. Alright, help protect me. Lu Yuan said warmly. Gu Yuana nodded, and said, alright, go ahead and absorb the energy. Pinching Gu Yuana's pretty face, Lu Yuan took the Golden Dragon right arm bone from her hand, then found a clean place to sit down cross-legged. His bloodline surged, and the dragon's aura of the five-clawed Golden Dragon King's bloodline instantly filled the entire room. Gu Yuana's pretty face changed when she was enveloped by this dragon's aura. The bloodline in her body surged, and a desire to crawl surged in her heart. However, she was now a level 1 god. Her strength was extremely high, and this desire was suppressed by her absolute strength. Even so, her expression still fluctuated. What a terrifying bloodline aura. Even the dragon god can't compare to it. Pure-blooded true dragons are indeed terrifying. Just a drop of their heart's blood has allowed Abuchi's bloodline to reach such a level. Gu Yuana sighed in her heart. Gu Yuana was wrong. Pure-blooded true dragons were indeed terrifying, but not all of them were omnipotent. It also depended on their cultivation. Lu Yuan had only been able to evolve so much because he had obtained the heart's blood from an immortal king-rank true dragon. After evolving, Lu Yuan's bloodline was already comparable to that of a normal true dragon, which was why Gu Yuana's bloodline was so oppressive. If it were a normal true dragon, Lu Yuan definitely wouldn't have been able to reap such great benefits. Lu Yuan picked up the Golden Dragon right arm bone and pressed it against his right arm. As long as he was powerful enough, there was no threshold for him to absorb soul bones. It wasn't like soul rings, which required both his physique and spiritual power. For example, a soul ancestor could absorb 100,000-year soul bone, but absorbing a 100,000-year soul ring would be suicide. However, there were always some special soul bones that had high requirements for the person absorbing them. The Golden Dragon was one of them. Its power was extremely violent, and if one wasn't powerful enough and couldn't control it, then it was very likely that the soul bone's power would backfire. However, this didn't exist for Lu Yuan. Not to mention that he was extremely compatible with the Golden Dragon right arm bone, just his current strength attribute was much more domineering than the Golden Dragon's. Soul power circulated, and the Golden Clear Chi scripture soul power exuded a tyrannical aura. Under the effect of soul power, the Golden Dragon right arm bone turned into a streak of golden light and directly entered Lu Yuan's right arm. Suddenly, an incomparably tyrannical power gushed out of Lu Yuan's right arm and spread throughout his body. What vigorous divine power! It seems that my constitution can take another step forward. Feeling the tyrannical power of this power, Lu Yuan couldn't help but sigh inwardly. The clear Qi scripture quickly circulated, and his Qi, blood, and golden core trembled. Boundless bloodline power surged out and started to rapidly absorb the power of the Golden Dragon right arm bone, nourishing his body. Even though he was now a demigod, Lu Yuan could still feel that his constitution was slowly becoming stronger. This was because the feeling of being filled with power couldn't be deceived. The five-clawed Golden Dragon King's bloodline and the clear Qi scripture circulated at the same time, and the refining speed could be said to be extremely fast. In addition to the extremely high compatibility and intimacy, Lu Yuan basically didn't encounter any problems during his journey of fusing with the soul bone. After about 2 hours, the dragon roars stopped, and Lu Yuan's polychoria suddenly opened. The fusion of the Golden Dragon right arm bone was complete. He gently clenched his fist, and a terrifying power immediately surged. Lu Yuan didn't know how strong he was now, but his intuition told him that he could kill an ordinary titled Douluo with a single punch. Furthermore, he could smash them into smithereens. If his strength was less than 300,000 kilograms when he came out of the City of Massacre, then his current strength was at least 500,000 kilograms. The important thing to note was that it was at least 500,000 kilograms. The baptism of the true dragon's heartblood, and the right arm bone of the second-generation golden dragon, had raised his strength to an absolutely terrifying level. Lu Yuan didn't dare to be certain of his terrifying strength because he hadn't tested it before. However, there was no doubt that his improvement was huge. Seeing Lu Yuan open his eyes, Jiu Yuana couldn't help but ask softly, "Are you done absorbing?" Chapter 849. Lu Yuan looked at Jiu Yuana in a gentle voice, and said, "Yes, I've made great progress. I'm confident that I'll be able to attain a million-year soul ring. Alright, then we can begin preparing for your 7th soul ring." Jiu Yuana said. What are you going to do?" Lu Yuan asked Jiu Yuana softly. "You can condense your bloodline soul ring first, and once you've condensed your soul ring to a certain degree, I'll channel the energy from the second-generation golden dragon god core into your bloodline soul ring. At the same time, you just have to work hard to reach a higher number of years. As for condensing your divine ring, controlling the energy, and sealing it, I'll help you with that. I'll also use my own divine power to protect you, so you won't be in any danger." Jiu Yuana said. A faint smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face upon hearing this, and he said, "I rarely live off women in the past, but I've got to admit that I'm living off a woman today. It's great to have such a powerful wife. I can save myself years of hard work." PFFFT. Jiu Yuana burst into laughter upon hearing Lu Yuan's words, and said, "Then you have to be more obedient in the future. Otherwise, you won't be able to live off a woman anymore." "Obedient? Nah, I'll make you more obedient," Lu Yuan said with a mischievous grin. "You're such a cheeky talker." Jiu Yuana pouted before a serious expression appeared on her face. "Let's begin." Lu Yuan nodded in response, and his soul power surged. Golden light surged from his body, and a holy aura exuded from his body. A loud dragon's roar rang out, and a divine dragon appeared behind Lu Yuan. Its head resembled that of a cow, its horns resembled those of a deer, its eyes resembled prawns, its ears resembled that of an elephant, its neck resembled that of a snake, its scales resembled those of a fish, its claws resembled those of a phoenix, and its palms resembled those of a tiger. Aside from the addition of a pair of golden dragon wings, it was no different from a pure-blooded true dragon. Dazzling golden fan-shaped scales began to appear all over Lu Yuan's body, and a pair of dragon horns protruded from his head. A pair of golden dragon wings flapped gently behind him, and his 6 black, red, and red soul rings began to radiate dazzling divine light. Lu Yuan's jewel pupils flashed, and his 5-clawed golden dragon king bloodline began to surge within his body. Countless specks of golden light began to emanate from Lu Yuan's body, and they revolved around his body. More and more golden specks of light appeared, and soon, the entire room was filled with golden specks of light. The special factor in the bloodline was completely released. Finally, when it reached a certain point, the golden light spots stopped increasing. Lu Yuan's mind moved, and the golden light spots in the room began to condense. After about half an hour, the golden light spots had completely condensed into a huge golden halo that surrounded Lu Yuan. White, yellow, purple, black, and red. In the blink of an eye, the golden halo rapidly changed into 5 different colors and directly entered the domain of the 100,000-year soul ring. However, this was only the beginning. As time passed, the light red color began to deepen, and soon it became a demonic blood red color. 2 golden rays cut through the blood red color, and 2 strange golden patterns appeared on the demonic blood red ring, exuding a noble aura. Double golden patterned blood rings. This meant that the soul ring had reached over 200,000 years, and it had stepped into the realm of vicious beast soul rings. Even so, the changes were still ongoing. Another 2 hours passed, and the blood-red soul ring around Lu Yuan's body was now surrounded by 9 noble golden patterns. This meant that the soul ring had reached 900,000 years of age. 900,000 years was a terrifying number, and it was definitely the oldest soul ring that a human soul master had on the Douluo continent. At this point, the transformation of the blood-red ring gradually stopped. Before ascending to godhood and possessing his own divine power, Lu Yuan could only form an origin bloodline ring of 990,000 years at most. 1,000,000 years was already enough to touch upon the realm of divinity, but he still couldn't form such a soul ring right now. Therefore, at this point, it was time to borrow external help. Gu Yuana had been paying attention to the changes in Lu Yuan's body. When she noticed this, she moved her hand slightly, and the second-generation Golden Dragon's God's core turned into a beam of light and rushed into the huge 9-patterned blood ring that Lu Yuan had formed. Immediately, terrifying divine power erupted, and the blood-red ring turned into a dazzling golden color. This time, the golden halo wasn't like the original golden halo, which was only golden in color. Instead, it was filled with an indescribable sense of nobility. 1,000,000 years. This soul ring had reached 1,000,000 years of age. Divine power continued to erupt from the golden soul ring as it continued to imprint itself with divine power. Gradually, the 1,000,000-year soul ring began to undergo a bizarre transformation. Finally, at a certain moment, a divine aura emerged from the golden halo. The transformation was complete. Now, let's get to the main point. Gu Yuana's expression stiffened slightly, and silver divine power flowed from her into Lu Yuan's body to protect his body. In Lu Yuan's sea of consciousness, the clear-air divine seed and Neptune's heart both shone brightly, and they released their divine power to protect Lu Yuan. The golden soul ring gradually shrank, transforming into an extremely dazzling golden soul ring that rushed directly into the 7th soul ring of Lu Yuan's 5-clawed golden dragon king martial soul. Immediately, boundless energy flowed from the soul ring into Lu Yuan's body. The true absorption of the soul ring had begun. Boundless divine power flowed from the top of Lu Yuan's head, and it spread throughout Lu Yuan's body. The golden dragon armor, Atlas palmbone, and dusk gold terraclaws all appeared on their own. Gu Yuana's spiritual power controlled the soul ring, and a portion of the soul ring's energy flowed into the 3 external soul bones. At the same time, Gu Yuana controlled another portion of the soul ring's energy to flow into Lu Yuan's first 6 soul rings. The rest of the soul ring's energy flowed into Lu Yuan's body, and Lu Yuan quickly absorbed it. The soul ring's energy was incomparably dense, and the external soul bones, soul rings, and Lu Yuan's body all benefited greatly. The 3 external soul bones began to evolve rapidly, especially the golden dragon armor. Because it came from the gold-scale imperial dragon turtle, which had the bloodline of the golden dragon, it benefited the most and evolved the most thoroughly. The golden dragon armor, which was originally comparable to a 100,000-year soul bone, rose in quality rapidly, and it was on its way to becoming a god. Lu Yuan's soul rings also benefited greatly. His 6 soul rings absorbed the soul ring's energy at the same time, and their age began to increase rapidly. The black of the 10,000-year soul ring became deeper, and a faint red color gradually appeared. The color of the 100,000-year soul ring became deeper, and its blood-red color became even more demonic. Of course, Lu Yuan's soul ring underwent the greatest transformation. Chapter 850. If the external soul bone and soul ring took away 40% of the divine ring's energy, then there was still at least 60% of the energy left in Lu Yuan's body. Flesh, meridians, bones, soul power, Lu Yuan's entire body was absorbing the divine ring's energy crazily. The 2nd-generation Golden Dragon was originally a Class 1 god. Even if a small portion of its origin divine power dissipated and 40% was taken away, the remaining divine ring's energy was comparable to a Class 2 god's entire body's divine power. This was definitely not something an ordinary million-year soul beast could compare to. Under the influence of this energy, Lu Yuan's meridians and bones were gradually dyed with a golden color. Gold was the color of a god-tier being. If Lu Yuan's bones and tendons were to turn completely gold, it would mean that his body had truly entered the god tier. Could this energy push Lu Yuan's body to the god realm? Without a doubt, it could. Gods were divided into different levels. The same went for divine bodies. Class 3 divine bodies, Class 2 divine bodies, Class 1 divine bodies, God King body. The different levels of gods naturally had differences in the strength of their physiques. With the amount of divine energy in his divine ring that was comparable to a grade 2 deity's divine body, even if there was some other consumption, in addition to Lu Yuan's special constitution, it would not be a problem for him to forge a grade 3 divine body. However, the problem was that Lu Yuan's absorption ability was limited. He could not absorb all the energy in the divine ring, so forging a divine body was still a little difficult. However, it was still possible for him to take another step forward from the demigod body. Furthermore, due to the special nature of Lu Yuan's bloodline, if he took another step forward, even if he did not become a divine body, the strength of his physique would be comparable to a class 3 divine body. It might even be a little stronger. It could not be helped. After all, the Golden Dragon bloodline was the best at physical strength. Furthermore, Lu Yuan's bloodline had evolved, so his physique was much stronger than the Golden Dragon's. When the divine ring's energy swept through Lu Yuan's body, part of it entered his sea of consciousness. Origin divine power was the most profound and had many uses. What was origin divine power? Was it just the sole power of a god? No, origin divine power was similar to a special energy that combined essence, energy, and spirit. It was also because of this that it was extremely useful for the body, soul power, and even spiritual power. It was the purest form of energy. Lu Yuan's current sea of consciousness could truly be called a sea. The area was incomparably vast. And it was very stable. The clear air god seed was high up in the sky, emitting a white light. Now that Lu Yuan had comprehended a part of the clear air god seed, the divine power it emitted became denser. In the sky, a 5-clawed golden dragon with a pair of wings on its back roared towards the sky, rolling and rolling in the clouds formed by the divine power. Compared to the original golden dragon, the current 5-clawed golden dragon king was much more willful. Other than the spirit of the god-slaying spear martial spirit that was stuck on the Black Mountain, it wasn't afraid of anyone in the sea of consciousness. It even dared to roar in front of the clear chi divine seed. It tossed and turned all over the sea of consciousness happily. The golden divine ring's energy surged into his sea of knowledge and began to transform it. The white light scattered, and the clear energy protected Lu Yuan's sea of consciousness, ensuring that it would not be damaged. Above the sea of consciousness, waves rolled, and the area of the sea of consciousness began to expand again. At the same time, Lu Yuan's spiritual power began to strengthen again. His spiritual power was originally stuck at the half-step limit realm. Now, with the help of the divine ring's origin divine power, his spiritual power was able to advance to the next level, completely entering the limit realm. Lu Yuan's entire body was rapidly transforming. In the outside world, Jiyu Yuana's spiritual power swept out, paying close attention to the situation in Lu Yuan's body. If Lu Yuan couldn't bear it, she would immediately control the remaining energy and seal it. It was very difficult to do this, but for Jiyu Yuana, whose spiritual power was now number 1 in the world, it wasn't a problem. The sky darkened, and then the sun rose again. A day's time slipped away just like that. Seeing Lu Yuan's gradually frown, Jiyu Yuana knew that the divine power in Lu Yuan's body had reached saturation. With a thought, Jiyu Yuana waved her hand and scattered a silver light. She forcefully controlled it with her spiritual power and gathered the remaining energy in Lu Yuan's body. After Lu Yuan's absorption, the original 6 layers of divine power had been consumed by 4 layers. There were still 2 layers left. Jiyu Yuana guided the 2 layers of origin divine power into Lu Yuan's golden dragon right arm bone, and then sealed it layer by layer. After doing all this, Jiyu Yuana looked at Lu Yuan, who was digesting the divine power and slowly transforming, and couldn't help but smile. After the condensation of the divine ring today, Lu Yuan's foundation to become a god had been completely laid. It would be much easier for him to become a god in the future. Absorb slowly, there's no need to rush. Jiyu Yuana softly muttered, then found a place to sit down. She rested her chin on her jade-like hand, and her purple eyes stared unblinkingly at Lu Yuan. Now that Lu Yuan's absorption of the origin divine power had reached saturation, what was left was to completely transform this divine power into his own. This process was undoubtedly very time-consuming. The red sun rose from the east and set in the west. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Ever since Lu Yuan had started cultivating, this was the longest time he had ever spent absorbing a soul ring. Of course, it was also the time he had reaped the most benefits. The undulations of divine power on Lu Yuan's body were extremely faint. This meant that the origin divine power in his body had basically been completely transformed into his own. In its place, Lu Yuan's aura was many times stronger than before. On his body, the golden dragon armor shone brightly. It was also golden, but there was an additional aura that was similar to the golden dragon spear. It was the aura of a divine weapon. Under the effect of the golden dragon's origin divine power, this external soul bone that Lu Yuan relied on the most had already entered the realm of a divine weapon. It had become a god-tier soul bone. Although it was only an ordinary divine weapon that had just entered the realm of a divine weapon, it was still a divine weapon. An ordinary 100,000-year soul bone couldn't compare to it. Although the Atlas palm bone and the dark golden terraclaw right palm bone hadn't reached the realm of a divine weapon, they were far superior to ordinary 100,000-year soul bones. 2 layers of origin divine power had raised the 3 external soul bones to a very high level. If the changes in the golden dragon armor couldn't be seen if one didn't look closely, the changes in the soul rings were very direct. Apart from his 7th soul ring, Lu Yuan's original soul rings were black, 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 and red. Now, Lu Yuan's soul rings were red, 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 and red. Furthermore, every single one of them was blood red, and there were 5 golden patterns on them. The 2 layers of the golden dragon's origin divine power didn't raise any of his soul rings to 1,000,000 years. However, it raised the age of all 6 soul rings to 500,000 years. What a huge increase! The deterrence brought by these 6 soul rings was immense. Putting everything else aside, just releasing these soul rings was enough to shock everyone. Chapter 851. The transformation of his external soul bone had been completed, and the increase in the age of his soul rings had also come to an end. All that was left was Lu Yuan himself. The transformation of his soul rings and external soul bone had consumed 4 layers of his origin divine power. 2 layers of origin divine power were sealed in his golden dragon right arm bone, so there were 4 layers of origin divine power left in Lu Yuan's body. This energy caused Lu Yuan to undergo a huge transformation. The undulations of his divine power gradually weakened until they completely disappeared. Lu Yuan's aura became stronger and stronger. Suddenly, Lu Yuan opened his eyes. A strong wave of energy swept out, and everything in the room was instantly destroyed. Lu Yuan roared into the sky. His 7th soul ring shone, and a 100-meter-long divine dragon burst through the roof. In the blink of an eye, it was already in mid-air. Seeing this, Jiu Yuana's figure flashed, and she was outside the room. She lifted her head slightly and looked into the sky. In mid-air, a 5-clawed golden dragon with a pair of wings on its back was spiraling. It exuded a bright golden light. Its slender body shone with golden light, as if it were forged from gold. Its wings flapped slightly, and a strong gust of wind was whipped up in mid-air. The divine dragon rose again, and directly entered the clouds. Its body was revealed in the clouds. The 5-clawed golden dragon opened its mouth slightly and let out a loud dragon's roar. Suddenly, the dragon's roar, which contained a strong dragon's might, reverberated throughout the entire martial soul palace. In the angel temple, Sendryu and the other consecrated were discussing some matters. They were shaken by this dragon's roar, and their expressions changed. Even Sendryu's eyes were filled with a strange look. "Elder brother, what's this?" After hearing this dragon's roar, the golden crocodile was shocked. He only felt his martial soul tremble, and he couldn't help but ask. "It's that little rascal. He's become a soul sage." Sendryu gently stroked his beard and said, "Are you talking about Ibuchi?" the golden crocodile asked. "Other than him, who else has such a terrifying dragon might?" Listening to this voice, he has improved quite a bit this time, Sendryu said. "The Holy Sun has become a soul sage." Listening to Sendryu's words, many consecrated elders couldn't help but be surprised. If they remembered correctly, Lu Yuan was only 16 years old this year, a few months away from 17 years old. A 16-year-old soul sage, TSK. Comparisons were odious. What were their levels when they were 16 years old? Had he arrived at the soul divine sect? That seemed to be the case. The difference between a soul ancestor and a soul sage was simply too great. Are you guys going to stay here or come with me to take a look? I have a premonition that this kid is really going to ascend to the heavens this time. Second brother, you might not be able to beat this kid. Sendryu said. Hihi, I've been prepared for this for a long time. This kid will surpass me sooner or later. The stronger he is, the better. He is the holy son of our martial soul palace, the next pope. Golden Crocodile chuckled. Indeed, the stronger this kid is, the better. Do you guys want to go take a look? Sendryu asked again. Of course, the Holy Son has made such a huge breakthrough. We would also like to see his heroic figure. The consecrated elders said. Then let's go. We'll be back soon, Sendryu said indifferently. With such a huge commotion, even Sendryu was alarmed, let alone Bibidon and the others. They all came to Lu Yuan's seclusion place and stood not far away from Jiu Yuana. Such a strong aura. This kid is almost catching up to me. If he doesn't use his full strength, I might not be able to beat him. The kid from back then has finally grown to such a level. He always said that he would protect me. Now, he has the ability to do so. Bibidon sighed inwardly as she looked at the divine dragon dancing in the clouds. She wore a smile on her face, and her eyes were filled with gentleness. Hulena and Zhu Zhuqing's eyes were also filled with radiance, and their faces were filled with pride. This was their man. Master has finally reached this stage. With Master's current strength and the suppression of his bloodline, I can't beat him anymore. Long Xiaoyao's figure appeared, and he couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the roaring five-clawed golden dragon king. Although he was at his limit, Lu Yuan's bloodline suppressed him too much. He couldn't unleash his original strength in front of Lu Yuan. In addition to Lu Yuan's rapid improvement, he couldn't beat Lu Yuan in a one-on-one fight. Little brother's aura has far surpassed mine. Ma Xiaodao blinked her red eyes, and there was a complicated look in her eyes. Ever since she was summoned, she had been following Lu Yuan and protecting him. However, Lu Yuan didn't need her protection now. She couldn't help but feel a little conflicted. I can't compare to Master's might. Master's path to invincibility is about to begin. Jing Hongchen said softly. Long Xiaoyao and Ma Xiaodao couldn't help but nod their heads when they heard his words. Lu Yuan had already soared to new heights. The five-clawed golden dragon king circled in the clouds and roared. Waves of draconic aura filled the sky. Suddenly, the majestic divine dragon plunged down from the clouds and dived downwards. The divine dragon was extremely quick, and it reached the ground in no time. The 100-meter-long dragon body appeared to be so huge. The dragon's tail swept slightly, bringing with it an extremely terrifying power. A gentle look flashed across the divine dragon's eyes as it looked at the few familiar figures on the ground. It increased its speed once again. Just as it was about to reach the ground, golden light flashed, and the golden divine dragon dissipated. It was replaced by Lu Yuan's familiar figure in white. He landed gently, and Jiu Yuana was right in front of him. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lu Yuan opened his arms and pulled Jiu Yuana into his arms. It wasn't that he liked to show off his affection in front of others. It was just that he was too excited and couldn't control himself. Only he knew how much he had gained this time. First, he was a rank 70 soul emperor. With a divine ring and the god-ranked golden dragon right arm bone, his soul power had increased by 7 ranks. He was now a rank 77 soul sage. Next, he had his constitution. If he was a demigod before, he was now a pseudo-god. A pseudo-god was only a step away from becoming a true god. Once he advanced half a step further, he would become a rank 3 god. Lu Yuan was a pseudo-god now, and he was as strong as a rank 3 god. Next was his spiritual power. His spiritual power had also improved a lot, and he was now at the ultimate level. With his spiritual power at the ultimate level and his netherworld light, few people in the world could resist his spiritual attacks. There were also soul rings and external soul bones. This time, Lu Yuan's gains were unimaginable. All of this had to do with the woman in his embrace. Without her, Lu Yuan wouldn't have gained all of this. Therefore, Lu Yuan hugged her emotionally. Chapter 852. Thank you for your hard work, Enea, Lu Yuan said in a gentle voice as he gently rubbed his right cheek against Jiu Yuana's cheek. It's nothing, as long as you're doing well. Jiu Yuana's red lips parted slightly, and her pleasant voice sounded. Lu Yuan smiled slightly, and gently moved his head to kiss Jiu Yuana's cherry lips. They were soft to the touch, and there was a faint fragrance to them. Lu Yuan was immediately intoxicated. This guy really started doing bad things as soon as he came out of seclusion. Huliana pouted her small mouth and muttered. Stinky Abuchi, he likes the new and hates the old. He's so bad. He only knows how to get close to Jiu Yuana. He can even kiss me. Huliana grumbled in her heart. It seems like he can't control himself this time. Jiu Yuana must have helped him a lot with her 7th soul ring. Otherwise, he wouldn't only be so close to Jiu Yuana with the 3 of us standing here. Bibidon blinked her pink eyes as she spoke softly. After all, she was much more experienced than Huliana and the others, so she had a deeper understanding of this aspect. Abuchi's martial soul true body was so terrifying just now. My martial soul was trembling. My martial soul wasn't as strong as his in the past, but I didn't feel this way. However, the gap between us seems to be so huge that it's terrifying. Zhu Zhuqing spoke lightly, and her clear and cold voice carried a trace of trembling. Lu Yuan's piercingly cold divine might from before had left a deep impression on her. Indeed, my martial soul was trembling as well. Huliana couldn't help but agree after hearing Zhu Zhuqing's words. Just now, her 9-tailed heavenly fox martial soul had also been completely suppressed, and she had felt like crawling on the ground. This little bastard's martial spirit has already reached an unimaginable level. I was also suppressed by it just now. It seems like as long as it's a beast martial spirit, it will be completely suppressed by him. Bibidon said in an indifferent voice. The evolved 5-clawed golden dragon king was definitely the strongest beast soul in the history of the Douluo continent. Any beast soul possessor could only tremble in fear when they encountered him. If it wasn't for the fact that they were much stronger than him, it would be very difficult for them to even retaliate under his oppressive might. Someone's coming. Bibidon had just finished speaking when suddenly, a wave of fluctuation caught her attention. She glanced over and saw a group of people landing on the island in the middle of the lake not far away. Sendryu? What is this old man doing here? Could it be because of Abuchi? Recalling Lu Yuan's 5-clawed golden dragon king roar into the sky, Bibi Dong had a rough idea of what was going on and felt that he was close to the mark. Why is the head consecrator here? Bibidon's actions also attracted the attention of Huliana and Zhu Zhuqing. The 2 of them tilted their heads and just happened to see Sendryu's group. Sendryu stepped onto the island in the middle of the lake. This was Bibidon's residence. He rarely came here, but today he couldn't hold back his curiosity and set foot here. Behind him were the golden crocodile, Qianjun demon subduing, and the other consecrators. Where is Abuchi? Sendryu muttered. His gaze swept over a large circle and finally found Lu Yuan's figure. His face immediately darkened. What did he just see? This stinking brat actually kissed another girl so openly in front of so many people. He was simply out of control. Although he also agreed that Lu Yuan had several wives, as Chihiro Snow's grandfather, it would be strange if he was happy to see such a scene. However, his thoughts clearly didn't affect Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan was kissing very happily. Kissing Jiu Yuana felt wonderful. Releasing Jiu Yuana's cherry lips, Lu Yuan and her looked at each other closely. Both of their eyes were filled with deep affection. Xiao Yuan, you already have a false god body and a divine ring. As long as you can absorb the divine origin energy sealed in the right arm bone of the golden dragon, you'll be able to completely transform into a divine body, Jian Wushuang said to Xiao Yuan. Gazing at Lu Yuan, Jiyu Yuana softly said. I know. However, I have just completed my transformation and still need some time to adapt to this huge change. I need to completely digest and control this sudden increase in strength before I can think about other things. Otherwise, blindly being greedy is not good. Lu Yuan said. He placed the most importance on his foundation. This increase in soul power by 7 ranks was actually the result of him suppressing it. Otherwise, with such powerful energy, it was very likely that he could have reached rank 79. That might seem very impressive, but in the long run, the disadvantages outweighed the advantages. A skyscraper was built from the ground, and the most important thing was the foundation. Thus, every step had to be taken as steadily as possible. Indeed, you have made great progress this time. You need to take some time to consolidate it. Jiyu Yuana nodded in agreement with Lu Yuan's words. With her foresight, she naturally understood the importance of a foundation. This time, I have completely inherited the second golden dragon's everything, right? After a moment of silence, Lu Yuan softly said. In the beginning, he had inherited the bloodline of the second-generation golden dragon. But now, he had completely absorbed the second-generation golden dragon's divine core and soul bone. He had completely taken over the second-generation golden dragon's entire body. Jiyu Yuana was slightly taken aback. Then, she nodded slightly. Yes. Since I have inherited everything from it, I will bear the responsibility that it has passed on to me. Leave the future of soul beasts to me. Lu Yuan spoke softly. At this moment, Lu Yuan really wanted to do something for soul beasts and the dragon clan from the bottom of his heart. It wasn't like before, when he did it to repay his debt and for Jiyu Yuana and Wang Qiu'er. Although he wouldn't kill soul beasts indiscriminately, he didn't really treat them as one of his own. However, this time, he was sincere. I'll leave it to you then. Jiyu Yuana seemed to have sensed the change in Lu Yuan's mentality. At this moment, she was exceptionally happy. She knew that Lu Yuan's last bit of barrier towards soul beasts had disappeared. From now on, he could truly treat both soul beasts and humans with the same benevolence. This was undoubtedly something that Jiyu Yuana was very happy about. She also sincerely hoped that Lu Yuan would truly acknowledge soul beasts. Lu Yuan smiled when he saw Jiyu Yuana's smile. He lowered his head slightly and touched Jiyu Yuana's forehead. Don't resist. I'll pass something to you. Lu Yuan's voice sounded. Okay. Jiyu Yuana acknowledged softly. With a thought, a spot of golden light emerged from Lu Yuan's forehead and entered Jiyu Yuana's mind. This spot of golden light was the cultivation method of the True Dragon Claw. Although the True Dragon Claw was only one of the moves of the True Dragon Treasured skill, the cultivation method was very complicated. Although Lu Yuan had comprehended it from his own bloodline, he had only just grasped the basics. This time, besides the cultivation method, he also passed some of his own understanding of cultivation to Jiyu Yuana. This could help Jiyu Yuana grasp the basics quickly. Chapter 853. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so easy for Jiyu Yuana to learn the True Dragon Claw, even if she had great spiritual power and good comprehension skills. True Dragon Claw, what a powerful offensive technique. Jiyu Yuana was stunned as she sensed the cultivation method of the True Dragon Claw that Lu Yuan had imparted to her. No matter how exaggerated it was, it couldn't compare to experiencing it for herself. After experiencing it for herself, she realized how strong this claw technique was. If she could master it, she wouldn't have a problem fighting above her level. Lu Yuan was not lying when he said that she could take on the Azura deity, who had the strongest attack. Take your time to cultivate it. When you master the True Dragon Claw and return to your original level, your fighting strength will be impressive. Lu Yuan said softly. Okay. Jiyu Yuana acknowledged softly. She looked at Lu Yuan with a gentle gaze. Lu Yuan smiled and let go of Jiyu Yuana's waist. He held her snow-white hair and walked towards Bibidon and the others. His spiritual power was now at the level of a limit Douluo. He had already sensed Sendryu and the others' arrival. However, he couldn't be bothered with them because he was having a good time kissing them. As for why they were here, it probably had something to do with the roar of his 5-clawed golden dragon king true body. That roar was extremely powerful, and it reverberated throughout the entire martial soul palace. However, since they were here, he had to meet them. Furthermore, he had just broken through, and was a little itchy to fight them. Sendryu was a good opponent. He couldn't defeat Jiu Yuena, and he couldn't bear to lay his hands on Bibi Dong. Long Xiaoyaro was a dragon, and he was suppressed by him. He couldn't detect his true abilities, and only the 1000 Dao stream was suitable for him. Lu Yuan and Jiu Yuena walked side by side. Anyone who saw them couldn't help but praise them. They were a match made in heaven. Grandpa Golden Crocodile. Lu Yuan nodded at Bibidon and the others, then greeted Sendryu and Golden Crocodile. Jiu Yuena was right beside him, and she didn't have any stage fright in the face of everyone's gazes. Among Lu Yuan's women, only Bibidon could be compared with Jiu Yuena. Jiu Yuena was never shy in the face of other people's gazes. The only one who could make her shy was Lu Yuan, unlike Chihiro Snow and Bibidon, who rarely got close to Lu Yuan in public. Perhaps this had something to do with the fact that Jiu Yuena was a soul beast. She never knew how to hide her love, and her love was very pure and sincere. Love was love. She didn't want to think about other things. Other people's opinions and views couldn't affect her at all. Lu Yuan liked this about her very much. We pay our respects to you, Your Highness. The worshippers of the Holy Hall all greeted Lu Yuan upon seeing him. Sendryu looked at Jiu Yuena, who was holding hands with Lu Yuan, and couldn't help but ask, Abuchi, who is this? Jiu Yuena, my girlfriend. Cher has seen her before, Lu Yuan replied in a soft voice. 1000 Dao Lu's body stiffened when he heard this. Was this the Jiu Yuena that Qian Runxue had mentioned before, who was more powerful than an ultimate Douluo? Sendryu appraised Jiu Yuena. Jiu Yuena's purple eyes lit up slightly, and Sendryu's entire body shuddered as his pupils contracted slightly. Just then, he had sensed an extremely powerful burst of pressure, and this pressure had come from Jiu Yuena. As expected, she was an extremely powerful being. She was so powerful that killing him would be as easy as blowing off dust. I don't know how Lu Yuan managed to woo such a powerful being. It's really a good method. Sendryu sighed in his heart. Sendryu's gaze turned to Lu Yuan, and his eyes narrowed slightly. Even though he had felt that Lu Yuan had improved a lot in the Angel Temple, he only realized that he had still underestimated Lu Yuan after seeing him in person today. He could even faintly feel a sense of threat from Lu Yuan's aura. This undoubtedly shocked him. Even the golden alligator Douluo did not give him such a feeling. This kid in front of him was definitely far stronger than the golden alligator. Abuchi, what rank are you now? As Lu Yuan's physique had transformed into a quasi-god physique, even Sendryu couldn't sense his true strength without revealing his soul power. Rank 77 Soul Sage. Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Rank 77 as soon as you broke through? Sendryu's expression changed slightly, and the golden crocodile and the others couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. This was the first time they had heard of such a huge increase in soul power. Rank 77? Abuchi's 7th soul ring is definitely very old. Bibidon was astonished to hear this, and she couldn't help but exclaim softly. Earlier, Lu Yuan had directly used his 5-clawed golden dragon king true body, so Bibidon hadn't seen Lu Yuan's soul ring. But from the fact that Lu Yuan had risen 7 ranks, she could speculate that Lu Yuan's 7th soul ring was at least 500,000 years old. However, Bibidon was wrong. Lu Yuan's 7th soul ring was even more exaggerated than she had imagined. It was a true divine ring. As expected of the successor of the divine king. Truly extraordinary. Abuchi, are you interested in playing with Grandpa? Sendryu looked at Lu Yuan with a trace of interest in his eyes. He really wanted to know how strong Lu Yuan was now. Lu Yuan opened his mouth, and just as he was about to reply, the golden crocodile's voice rang out. Big brother, let me do it. I haven't seen Abuchi's strength for many years. Let me see how much he has grown over the years. Do you have any objections, Abuchi? Of course not. It won't be too late to play with Grandpa Golden Crocodile first, Lu Yuan said softly with a smile. You little brat. Golden Crocodile couldn't help but smile. Lu Yuan's words meant that it wouldn't take much effort to defeat him. This little brat's tone was getting more and more arrogant. But with his progress, although his tone was arrogant, it was understandable. After all, he was young and frivolous. He was also young once, and he knew that geniuses had their own pride. It didn't matter if they were arrogant, as long as they were strong enough. Therefore, he wasn't angry at Lu Yuan's words. Instead, he secretly hoped that Lu Yuan could really defeat him. He really hoped that Lu Yuan could become stronger, whether it was out of consideration for the martial soul palace or out of his own feelings. Grandpa Golden Crocodile, let's start. To be honest, I'm really curious about my current strength. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Sure, let's fight on the lake, so that we don't ruin this place. Golden Crocodile said. Of course. Lu Yuan said softly. Even if Golden Crocodile didn't say it, he would still do it. The island in the middle of the lake was where he, Bibidon, and the other girls lived. He didn't want to destroy this place. Follow me then. As he spoke, the golden alligator Douluo's figure flashed as he flew towards the surface of the lake. Seeing this, a golden light flashed under Lu Yuan's feet, and he quickly followed. Chapter 854. The two of them were extremely quick, and they reached the surface of the lake in no time. The two of them were more than 10 meters apart as they stepped on the surface of the lake. For the two of them, walking on water was nothing out of the ordinary. Lu Yuan and Hu Yuhao faced each other in the air, while Bibidon and the rest moved to the lakeside to watch the battle. The Golden Crocodile had been famous for a long time. When he was young, he had shocked the entire continent. Now, he was a rank 98 Douluo, and his abilities were absolutely terrifying. Even Bibidon, who couldn't use his full strength, didn't dare to say that he could defeat him. While Lu Yuan was young, he was a monster that exceeded the imagination of ordinary people. No one dared to underestimate him because of his aura. Therefore, Sendryu and Bibidon were more optimistic about Lu Yuan. Rank 98 isn't bad, but he's no match for Abuchi. With the foundation of his divine ring and his false god body, the current Abuchi is invincible under limit Douluo, Jiu Yuhao said softly. She had the highest cultivation level, and her eyesight was the strongest. This battle hadn't even begun, but she could already see the outcome. Abuchi, don't hold back. You don't have to purposely give Grandpa Golden Crocodile face. Let Grandpa Golden Crocodile see your true abilities. Above the lake, the Golden Crocodile looked at Lu Yuan and said softly. All right. After a moment of silence, Lu Yuan said plainly. He had originally planned to hold back a little. After all, the Golden Crocodile was his elder, and he had taught him since he was young. Naturally, he didn't want him to lose so badly. However, since the Golden Crocodile had said this, he didn't have to purposely hold back anymore. Otherwise, he would make the Golden Crocodile angry. Then let's begin, the Golden Crocodile shouted loudly. Vigorous soul power surged from his body, and his martial soul was instantly attached to his body. It was a huge golden crocodile. Its two front legs were thick and short, but it was extremely majestic. Its long golden tail swayed gently, full of power. Especially that bloody mouth, it was full of deterrence. The Golden Crocodile King was a top-tier martial spirit. With his martial soul attached to his body, the Golden Crocodile's palms turned into crocodile paws, and a layer of golden crocodile skin covered his body. Under the Golden Crocodile's body, 9 yellow, purple, black, and red soul rings rose up. As the second consecrator of the martial soul palace, he also had 100,000-year soul ring. In the world of Fighting One, anyone who possessed 100,000-year soul ring was a true powerhouse, and the Golden Crocodile was undoubtedly one of them. Seems like second brother is serious. But I'm afraid he's still going to lose. This brat isn't simple. Looking at the Golden Crocodile's appearance, Sendryu couldn't help but sigh softly. Just as he finished speaking, a huge change occurred on the surface of the lake again. Feeling the aura from the golden crocodile's body, Lu Yuan smiled faintly. With a thought, his five-clawed golden dragon king martial soul was attached to his body. A dragon's roar resounded, and a boundless and terrifying dragon's aura permeated the air. The golden crocodile, who was facing Lu Yuan, was immediately affected. His body trembled, and the golden light from the golden crocodile king dimmed significantly. His martial soul was being suppressed, and it was being suppressed very miserably. Dragon wings flapped slightly, and the soul rings below Lu Yuan's body began to rise slowly. Red, 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 and gold, 7 soul rings appeared on the spot. Suddenly, a strong aura with Lu Yuan as the center quickly spread in all directions. What's this soul ring combination? Seeing Lu Yuan's soul rings, Bibidon was shocked. Shouldn't a Butch's soul rings be black, 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 red, and red? Why are they red, 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 and gold? Is it all because of her? Bibidon couldn't help but look at Gu Yuana. Sendryu and the others didn't know as much as Bibidon. Seeing Lu Yuan's soul rings, even these lofty-titled Douluo couldn't help but open their mouths in shock. What's the class of that golden soul ring? Why does it have a soul ring of that color? Helena was also shocked. However, she had blind faith in Lu Yuan, and believed that he was omnipotent, so she was the first to react. 100,000-year soul ring is red. A savage beast's soul ring is red with golden patterns. A golden soul ring is the color of a million-year soul beast's soul ring. Gu Yuana said indifferently. Doesn't that mean a Butch's 7th soul ring is at least a million-year soul ring? Helena said involuntarily. Of course. Gu Yuana nodded lightly. A divine ring was naturally above a million-year soul ring. As soon as these words came out, the people who had not completely recovered from the shock fell into shock once again. A million-year 7th soul ring, he's going to ascend to the heavens. Second brother will definitely lose within 10 moves. Sendryu said indifferently as his eyes narrowed. Lu Yuan's aura had reached the peak of his strength, and the golden crocodile's martial soul was suppressed. With the two combined, the golden crocodile wouldn't be able to last more than 10 moves. Hearing Sendryu's words, the consecrators in the consecration hall couldn't help but secretly click their tongues. They naturally didn't doubt Sendryu's words. It was precisely because of this that they were even more amazed. How could there be a monster like Lu Yuan in this world that transcended common sense? Compared to him, these people were really living like dogs. Grandpa Golden Crocodile, be careful. Lu Yuan said softly. His body moved, and he struck out with his palm. Suddenly, a dragon's roar reverberated, and 6 dazzling 5-clawed golden dragons spiraled directly towards the golden crocodile. It was one of his self-created bloodline soul ring skills, riding 6 dragons. The golden dragons roared, bringing with them a biting cold aura. Waves of air rolled in the air, and the lake beneath the golden crocodile fluctuated violently due to the pressure. The attack hadn't arrived yet, but the aura was already overwhelming. Come at me. The golden crocodile laughed, and the 5th soul ring on his body lit up. The golden crocodile claws suddenly enlarged, and directly slapped towards the 6 whistling 5-clawed golden dragons. Bang! The golden crocodile claws collided with the 5-clawed golden dragons, and there was a huge explosion of energy. The golden crocodile claws destroyed 3 of the 5-clawed golden dragons, while the remaining 3 collided with the golden crocodile's body. Suddenly, the golden crocodile's body was slapped into the water, and the water splashed dozens of meters high. One slap, just one slap, and Lu Yuan sent the golden crocodile, whose soul power was at rank 98, flying. What? Seeing this scene, the consecrated elders on the shore were stunned. What happened to the battle that they were talking about? The golden crocodile was defeated so quickly? What are you thinking about? The battle isn't over yet. That move can't hurt second brother. However, this fellow is stronger than I expected. Sendryu said softly, and his eyes flashed with a bright light. Just as Sendryu finished speaking, the water splashed everywhere, and the golden crocodile's figure directly rushed out of the water. Chapter 855. The golden crocodile was drenched from head to toe, and water droplets were dripping down his sturdy body. He looked at Lu Yuan with a grave expression. One move. Just one move, and he was sent flying. Abuchi's strength was unfathomable. He had to use his true abilities. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to last more than a few moves. He was certain to lose. He already had a premonition, and he didn't mind losing. However, he wanted to know how strong Lu Yuan was now. The golden crocodile roared towards the sky, and his eighth soul ring lit up. His long tail was filled with barbs, and he swung it towards Lu Yuan. This tail swing caused space to explode, and it created a series of explosions. It whistled through the air as it attacked Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan smiled faintly as he looked at the incoming golden crocodile tail. He didn't have any intention of dodging. He raised his left arm, clenched his left fist, and punched out. A burst of energy fluctuation came from his left arm, and a huge Titan giant ape phantom pounced at the incoming tail. One of the 100,000-year soul bone skills, Titan Skyshaker, self-created, don't investigate, boom. The huge Titan giant ape shadow pounced on the huge golden crocodile tail. They were both tyrannical strength-type attacks, so they created a huge commotion from the start. The energy exploded, and the lake was blasted into dozens of meters of water. Lu Yuan moved his feet and dodged the water. The golden crocodile Douluo was sent flying once again by that punch. He retreated more than 100 meters on the lake's surface before he stabilized himself. The golden crocodile king's martial soul relied on strength to win. It was a very powerful assault-type martial soul. It was a pity that he met Lu Yuan, who was the strongest of the strongest. He would only lose faster if they competed in strength. The soul bone skill of the 100,000-year Titan giant ape wasn't considered a very powerful offensive skill to the current Lu Yuan. However, it was enough to deal with the golden crocodile. Grandpa Golden Crocodile, use your martial soul true body. Otherwise, you won't be able to take more than a few punches from me. You might even be severely injured. That was one of my weakest soul bone skills. Lu Yuan spoke softly, and his indifferent voice spread out. He wasn't lying. The 100,000-year Titan giant ape soul bone skill was already the weakest soul skill he possessed. After his soul rings reached 500,000 years of age, his various soul skills also became much more powerful. He didn't dare to use such a soul skill on the golden crocodile. After all, he was already so old, and it wouldn't be good if he was injured. The golden crocodile was very good to him, and he could not do such a thing. All right, golden crocodile king true body. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, the golden crocodile wasn't angry at all. Instead, he acknowledged his words and immediately activated his seventh soul skill, martial soul true body. The martial soul true body was always one of a soul master's strongest soul skills. Sometimes, even a titled Douluo's ninth soul skill might not be as powerful as the martial soul true body. Golden light flashed, and the golden crocodile's figure disappeared. What replaced it was a huge golden crocodile that was 60 to 70 meters long. Its body was thick and ferocious, and its body was covered with ferocious barbs. Its sharp teeth flashed with cold light, and this golden crocodile exuded an extremely powerful aura. That's more like it. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. His second soul ring shone with blood-red light as he activated his golden dragon war body. He was immune to control, and this was a godly skill that strengthened his defense. After his soul rings increased in age, their effects became even more frightening. Lu Yuan only needed to use his second defensive soul skill to fight the golden crocodile. He didn't even need to use his offensive soul skills, because he had too many offensive soul skills. As he looked at the huge golden crocodile, Lu Yuan raised his fist and charged forward. There was a kind of battle that was called fist to flesh. This was the romance of strength, and Lu Yuan loved this kind of battle the most. The two of them used the lake as their battlefield. The lake water splashed everywhere, and a thin layer of mist rose from the lake's surface. Sky-propping pinnacle. Lu Yuan's left palm shone with black light as he activated his sky-propping palm bone. His fist, which shone with black light, struck the body of the golden crocodile that was 60 to 70 meters long. Compared to the size of this crocodile, Lu Yuan was like a slightly bigger ant. However, Lu Yuan, who was only the size of an ant, unleashed boundless strength after his fist landed, and the huge golden crocodile was sent flying into the water. This time, the lake's surface was completely blown up, and the center of the lake was forcefully broken open, revealing a huge hole. The lake water flowed in, and the remaining force caused the ground by the shore to tremble. Second brother has been defeated in 9 moves. I was right. This kid already possesses the ultimate fighting strength. Sendryu spoke softly. Only someone with the ultimate fighting strength could defeat a rank 98 peak Douluo in 9 moves. Even though Lu Yuan's martial soul had a slight advantage, he could tell that Lu Yuan had suppressed a lot of his strength. Lu Yuan's true strength had already reached the ultimate level. There was no doubt about that. Ultimate fighting strength. The consecrated couldn't help but open their mouths. The scene in front of them had really shocked them. Sendryu's words before the battle had come true. The golden crocodile had gone all out, but he was still defeated so miserably. He only lasted 9 moves, and didn't even last 10 moves. What about them? They probably couldn't even last 2 moves. The Holy Sun was so terrifying. Little rascal, you did well, Bibi Dong muttered to herself. Even though she had already expected this before the battle, when she saw the result, she couldn't help but feel proud of Lu Yuan from the bottom of her heart. This little man had really grown up and soared into the sky. Lu Yuan slowly retracted his left fist above the lake's surface. After the battle, his clothes were still neat and tidy, without the slightest bit of mess. He had been suppressing the golden crocodile throughout the entire battle. The golden crocodile's golden crocodile king true body was actually very violent. However, he was undoubtedly even more violent now. He didn't know how much strength he had now, but it was undoubtedly close to 1,000,000 pounds. A casual punch from him would have an extremely terrifying attack power. Even though the golden crocodile had activated his martial soul true body, it was still difficult for him to resist such an attack. The golden crocodile finally couldn't hold on any longer after the 9th move, and he was defeated. With his hands behind his back, Lu Yuan quietly looked at the lake's surface. Even though his attack was terrifying, he had actually held back a lot. Even though the golden crocodile had been defeated, his injuries weren't serious. His polychoria moved slightly. He could sense that there was a figure coming up from the depths of the lake. The lake's surface split open, and the golden crocodile's figure appeared. His robes were a little tattered, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. However, there was a faint smile on his face. Chapter 856. Abuchi, you've finally grown up. Grandpa Golden Crocodile is very pleased. A warm smile appeared on the golden alligator Douluo's face as he looked at Lu Yuan. As the saying goes, each new generation excels the previous one. Lu Yuan, whom he had once taught, had already surpassed him by far. In terms of strength, he had even entered the limit domain. However, he wasn't disappointed. Instead, he was very pleased. This was because not only did he treat Lu Yuan as his successor, but he also treated Lu Yuan as his own grandson. He was truly happy that Lu Yuan could achieve what he had today. Grandpa Golden Crocodile, I'm sorry for offending you, Lu Yuan said apologetically as he looked at the trace of blood at the corner of Golden Crocodile's mouth. Even though he had held back, a battle was still a battle. There were bound to be clashes. Moreover, if he hadn't used a little bit of his true strength, he wouldn't have been able to defeat Golden Crocodile. It's not your fault. This is a battle. Grandpa Golden Crocodile's injuries aren't serious. I'll be fine in 2 days. Don't worry. Golden Crocodile smiled. Okay. Lu Yuan nodded after hearing Golden Crocodile's words. Abuchi, since I've lost, let the head priest fight with you. He's much stronger than me. You have to give it your all and don't hold back. Otherwise, you'll lose miserably. The golden alligator Douluo instructed. Yes, I'll remember that, Lu Yuan replied. He naturally wouldn't underestimate Sendryu. The reason why he was able to defeat Golden Crocodile in 9 moves was because of the suppression of his martial soul. Golden Crocodile was rank 98, but in front of him, he could only display the strength of a rank 97 martial soul. Sendryu was different. Although the quality of his 6-winged angel martial soul wasn't as good as his 5-clawed Golden Dragon King, it wasn't enough to suppress his martial soul. Human-shaped martial souls were the most special. They could be classified as beast martial souls, but they were different from beast martial souls. Therefore, Sendryu could unleash his full strength against him. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to imagine how strong an ultimate Douluo was. Lu Yuan didn't dare to be careless. His strength had improved significantly, but that didn't mean that he was arrogant. He had never underestimated an ultimate Douluo. After the Golden Crocodile left the lake, Sendryu's body, and arrived in front of Lu. The two of them faced each other. "Little Yuan, you're not bad. You're still hiding a lot of strength. Your true strength has already entered the limit domain." Sendryu looked at Lu Yuan with a hint of admiration. Lu Yuan was a rank 77 soul sage, but his fighting strength was already in the ultimate Douluo. Even in his many years of experience, he had only seen one person like this. "Although my aura is comparable to an ultimate Douluo, it's still not as strong as Grandpa's." There's also a gap between ultimate Douluo and Grandpa. Grandpa has also gone very far in the ultimate Douluo realm. But even so, I won't lose today. Lu Yuan's tone was calm, but it was full of determination. "Oh." After hearing this, Sendryu couldn't help but narrow his eyes. He's so confident. Does this kid still have some trump cards? "Grandpa, let's fight." Lu Yuan's eyes narrowed, and his aura suddenly erupted. Waves rose from the lake under his feet, and a wall of water that was dozens of meters tall rose along with Lu Yuan's aura. It looked very powerful. "Interesting," Sendryu muttered. Golden light flickered on his body, and a mysterious ancient chant sounded. Holy light scattered, and the 6-winged angel martial soul attached to his body. "Hidden dragon in the abyss," Lu Yuan shouted. His body rose, and his hand seals changed. He pushed out with both palms, and the wall of water that was dozens of meters tall instantly changed. Following Lu Yuan's hand gestures, it turned into a water dragon that was hundreds of meters long. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it roared towards Sendryu. This was one of his self-created bloodline soul skills, Hidden Dragon in the Abyss. Sendryu's lips curled into a smile. He raised his palms, and fiercely slashed everything. Suddenly, a golden palm appeared in the air and cut the 100-meter-long water dragon in half. Immediately, the huge water dragon turned back into clear lake water and poured out. A casual palm strike was able to break Lu Yuan's Hidden Dragon in the Abyss. He was much stronger than the Golden Crocodile. The gap between an ultimate Douluo and an ultimate Douluo was huge. If not for his divine ring and divine body, Lu Yuan wouldn't be able to exchange blows with an ultimate Douluo, even if his bloodline had evolved. "Abuchi, take this," Sendryu said plainly. He flipped his palm slightly, and pressed it down. Suddenly, a huge palm print appeared in the air, and pressed down on Lu Yuan's head. The palm print pressed down, and carried a strong aura. "Good timing," Lu Yuan shouted. The aura's core of qi and blood in his dantian was pulsating rapidly. A powerful bloodline power emerged from the aura's core of qi and blood, directly entering his limbs and bones. Lu Yuan clenched his fist, and boundless strength burst forth. Golden light flashed, and he punched towards the huge palm print. Boom! The golden fist crushed the palm print. However, the remaining strength of the palm print hit the surface of the lake, and a huge sound was heard, and the entire lake sank. The lake water tumbled, and the originally clear lake water became turbid. Affected by the shockwaves, even the shore collapsed due to this palm strike. The might of an ultimate Douluo was unfathomable. Unlike his fight with the Golden Crocodile earlier, Lu Yuan's fight with Sendryu had reached the ultimate Douluo level. Every punch and kick caused great destruction. Lu Yuan frowned when he saw this scene. If they continued fighting, the island in the center of the lake would probably be blown apart. The surface of the lake was enough for him to fight the golden alligator Douluo, but it was still far from enough for him to fight the 1,000 Dao stream. "Grandpa, let's fight in the air," Lu Yuan said. He flapped his dragon wings and soared into the sky. "All right," Sendryu responded. He turned into a streak of golden light and followed. The two of them ascended several thousand meters before they finally stopped. Here, they could completely let go of their hands and feet. "Abuchi, I'm afraid it's not good for you to choose to fight in the air. This is my home ground." Sendryu chuckled as he looked at Lu Yuan. To a true dragon, riding the clouds is also an instinct. So to me, the sky is also my home ground. Lu Yuan shook his head. Dragons follow the clouds, and tigers follow the wind. Dragons were born with the ability to fly, and the sky couldn't affect them. "That's good. Grandpa also wants to see your full strength. If you're restricted by the battlefield, then it's not good," Sendryu said. "Then Grandpa, watch carefully," Lu Yuan said softly. Light flashed in his hand, and the golden dragon spear appeared in his hand. At the same time, his body shone with golden light. The golden dragon armor, which had been upgraded to a divine tool, was also on his body. With two divine tools in hand, Lu Yuan didn't dare to be careless against Sendryu. Chapter 857. Two Godly Items. Sendryu's voice froze as he sensed the auras coming from Lu Yuan's golden dragon spear and golden dragon armor. There was a look of surprise in his eyes. The golden dragon spear was one thing, but he had seen this golden dragon battle armor before, and it was a rare armor-type external soul bone. However, he didn't think that this external soul bone would evolve into a divine tool. This little brat was always able to surprise everyone. Lu Yuan's aura rose once he donned the golden dragon armor, and he became even stronger. The golden dragon armor had changed a lot, and it was very different from before. Under the influence of the true dragon's heartblood, the rhombus-shaped scales on the golden dragon armor had become fan-shaped dragon scales. Every dragon scale was arranged in a specific order, and they formed a full-body armor with no blind spots. Beautiful cloud patterns were outlined on the armor, and the blood-red cloak on his back had turned golden. There was a handsome dragon's head imprinted on the armor's chest area, and it exuded a powerful dragon's aura. Apart from its appearance, the golden dragon armor's weight had also changed a lot. After becoming a godly item, the golden dragon armor weighed 50,000 kilograms. Other than Lu Yuan, there was probably no one else in the world who could bear such heavy armor. If one wore such an armor, they would be crushed to the ground if they weren't strong enough, let alone fight. "Grandpa Golden Crocodile, let's begin." Lu Yuan chuckled as his golden dragon spear broke through space and stabbed towards Sendryu. Thousands of spear projections appeared in the air before they merged into one. This was the divine skill of the sea god's 13 halberds, 1,000-year space-time. Not bad. Sendryu's eyes lit up, and soul power surged in his hand. A golden long sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed it horizontally, tearing apart the spear projections. Lu Yuan's body followed his spear, and he swung it horizontally. Space exploded, and the spear was like a giant pillar that supported the heavens as it attacked Sendryu with terrifying strength. Self-created soul skill, spear technique, spatial explosion. With regards to spear techniques, Lu Yuan could be said to be extremely familiar with them. His transitions between spear techniques were flawless and smooth like flowing water. Sendryu stroked his hand, and dazzling golden flames erupted from his long sword. He swung his long sword horizontally, and it clashed directly with Lu Yuan's golden dragon spear. Bang! With a loud explosion, Lu Yuan was sent flying back over 100 meters before he could stabilize himself, while Sendryu was also sent flying back a short distance. Sendryu's soul force crushed Lu Yuan's, but Lu Yuan's strength put him at a disadvantage. However, in comparison, Lu Yuan retreated a little further. What a terrifying and vigorous soul power! Lu Yuan's expression changed slightly as he muttered softly. He wasn't injured. He had a pseudo-godly body, and his physique was very strong. However, he was at a slight disadvantage in that clash. An ultimate Douluo's attack was indeed terrifying. Even Sendryu, who was the weakest among the current ultimate Douluo, was unbelievably strong. What brat! What brute strength! Sendryu couldn't help but sigh as he sensed the tremendous strength that had just been unleashed. The magnitude of that power had truly exceeded his expectations. Grandpa, again. Lu Yuan flapped his dragon wings, and the golden dragon spear in his hand flickered with blood-red light. A boundless ferocious aura was released. Self-created soul skill, spear technique, life massacre. Lu Yuan's body turned into a series of after-images, and his murderous aura locked onto Sendryu. His golden dragon spear was like a roaring blood-red dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Against Sendryu, Lu Yuan didn't hold back at all. He unleashed his strongest moves. Good timing. Sixth soul skill, angelic demon sweeping slash. Sendryu's sixth soul ring glowed with a dim light. The holy light transformed into a huge sword, and unleashed a terrifying attack. This was the first time he had used a soul skill since the start of the battle. The huge light blade clashed with Lu Yuan's spear light. His spear technique, life massacre, which had always been successful, was broken. The golden dragon spear was knocked out of Lu Yuan's hand, and the remaining light blade continued to slash towards him. Lu Yuan's expression turned serious, and his sixth blood-red soul ring glowed with a demonic light. Sixth soul skill, Golden Dragon's Eternal Defense. The Golden Dragon's Eternal Defense was an absolute defense. It couldn't be broken by anyone below the god rank, and could only be used 3 times a day. Lu Yuan activated his soul skill, and a golden light barrier appeared around him. The light blade struck the light barrier, and was shattered into nothingness. Although he successfully blocked the light blade, Lu Yuan's expression was extremely serious. He didn't expect Sendryu's attack to be so terrifying after using a soul skill. Just his sixth soul skill was able to completely break his spear technique, life massacre. This was one of his strongest self-created soul skills, and even his dragon swimming great void was on par with it. Furthermore, what shocked him the most was that the golden dragon spear in his hand had been knocked away by Sendryu. He couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart, and he became even more serious about the upcoming battle. With a thought, the golden dragon spear flew back into his hand. However, Lu Yuan put it away. Instead, a 3-meter-long spear appeared in Lu Yuan's hand. It was golden and jade, and it contained a strong dragon's aura. It was a supra-divine weapon, the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear. Sendryu was so strong that he couldn't be bothered to hide it. He directly took out the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear. The jade-like spear felt extremely comfortable in his hand. The spear trembled slightly, and a terrifying force burst forth. It was very strong, and very convenient to use. After his bloodline evolved, this spear was even more convenient to use. When he held it in his hand, it felt as if it was connected to his bloodline. "Grandpa, be careful," Lu Yuan shouted as he stabbed out with the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear. Instantly, the wind and clouds started to stir. Dragon roars sounded, and this spear was like a shooting star that descended from the sky. It carried the might of a true dragon as it flew towards Sendryu. Sendryu focused his gaze, and his fifth soul ring lit up. Fifth soul skill, Holy Sword. The huge golden sword carried holy flames as it split the clouds apart and slashed towards Lu Yuan. Although this was his fifth soul skill, it was actually much more powerful than his sixth soul skill. However, Lu Yuan wasn't holding the golden dragon spear anymore. Clang! The spear and sword clashed, and terrifying energy undulations were unleashed. A strong pressure was transmitted from the spear to his hand. However, he was already prepared this time. He held the spear with close to 500,000 kilograms of force. How could he let the spear be knocked away again? "Break for me," Lu Yuan shouted, and the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear shone brightly. A 5-clawed golden dragon circled in the air and roared into the sky. The might of a true dragon wasn't to be underestimated. The Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear broke the huge holy sword in half. The spear didn't stop as it stabbed towards Sendryu again. Sendryu was shocked when his holy sword was broken. He looked at the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear and hurriedly dodged. Chapter 858. However, although he dodged in time, Lu Yuan's movements were not slow either. The Dragon Emperor draining spring spear was incomparably sharp, leaving behind a corner of his clothes. High up in the sky, the cold wind blew, and the corner of his clothes was blown away by the wind. What kind of weapon is this? It's actually so powerful. Looking at the spear in Lu Yuan's hand, Sendryu could not help but ask. He could feel the power of this spear. It was terrifying beyond imagination, far above the golden dragon spear Lu Yuan used before. Most of the power of his attack just now was directly offset by this spear. Otherwise, Lu Yuan would not have been able to break it so easily. The power of the divine sword was extraordinary. Supra-divine weapon, Dragon Emperor draining spring spear. Lu Yuan stood with the spear in his hand, and said softly with a calm expression. In the fight just now, he already knew that there was a big gap between him and Sendryu. However, with the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear, this gap was enough to make up for it. Supra-divine weapons were the top weapons in this world. They were rare treasures even for divine kings. Why was the sea god ranked at the forefront of the first-tier gods in the divine world? Wasn't it because of the existence of the supra-divine weapon, sea god's trident? And Lu Yuan's Dragon Emperor draining spring spear was a bit better than sea god's trident. Although the current hymn could not display the true power of the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear, it was completely enough to fight with Sendryu. Supra-divine weapon, Dragon Emperor draining spring spear? Hearing this, Sendryu's expression changed slightly. He naturally knew about supra-divine weapons. As the divine envoy of the angel god, he still understood these things. The angel god's angel holy sword was a divine weapon, and a master divine weapon, which was also a first-tier divine weapon. Above it were supra-divine weapons. Supra-divine weapons were extremely rare. Even in the divine world, there were not many. There were only a few people who possessed them. Lu Yuan being able to possess a supra-divine weapon was probably related to his identity as the successor of the divine king. Sendryu secretly guessed. However, a Buchi who possesses the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear isn't that easy to deal with. Sendryu narrowed his eyes and sighed in his heart. The pressure that the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear gave him was not small. "Grandpa, let's continue," Lu Yuan said softly. Fighting with Sendryu gave him the pleasure of going all out. His fighting spirit rose, and he just wanted to fight to his heart's content. "All right, let's continue then." Sendryu's eyes also lit up. He also rarely fought, and Lu Yuan could be considered a good opponent. The two of them were on the verge of exploding, and immediately collided fiercely again. In the sky, energy burst forth. Two balls of golden light stirred up the wind and clouds. Everyone on the ground watched with rapt attention. In order to take care of Hu Lena and Zhu Zhuqing, who were weaker than them, Jiu Yuana directly used the power of space to condense a mirror, and reflected the image of the battle in the sky. Hiss, the two of them are fighting so fiercely. Looking at the two of them going all out in the mirror, Hu Lena couldn't help but say. Lu Yuan and Sendryu were really excited to fight. Both of them didn't hold back, and the space exploded and the clouds dissipated. Fortunately, they were in the sky. If they were on the ground, the entire Lake Heart Island would have been sunk. Indeed, the attacks of these two are quite terrifying, especially Ibuchi. His attacks are endless, and he has too many skills. After fighting for so long, he actually didn't use any repeated skills. Seeing Lu Yuan's soul skills, soul bone skills, self-created soul skills, and polychoria skills used one after another, Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but say, "Ibuchi is really powerful. I didn't expect him to fight with the great consecrator to this extent. It's really surprising." Looking at the image in the mirror, the golden crocodile couldn't help but sigh softly. Ibuchi's strength is actually still a bit weak. It's mainly that spear that's powerful. Bibidon's pink eyes blinked slightly. Her intuition told her that the spear was very extraordinary. That's a supra-divine tool, the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear. Hu Lena said softly. Among so many people present, she was the only one who had seen this spear before. She saw it when Lu Yuan was receiving his reward when they had just left Massacre City. A supra-divine tool? This little bastard has a lot of treasures. Bibidon muttered inwardly. A supra-divine tool, this was even more powerful than the Rakshasa demon scythe. A supra-divine tool? Gu Yuana's purple eyes flickered slightly. She also had a supra-divine tool called the Dragon God's Heart, which was known as the most powerful supra-divine tool. However, compared to Lu Yuan's Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear, it seemed to be slightly inferior. Moreover, this spear seemed to have the shadow of the so-called pure-blooded true dragon. It should be Ibuchi who got it from who knows where. This guy always had some inexplicable mysteries on him. Sizing up the battle between the two, Helena's eyes turned and she asked softly, "Then who do you guys think will win in the end?" "It should be the head consecrator. Ibuchi has already used his Polychoria, but he still can't take down the head consecrator. Unless he uses the god-killing spear, he should lose after a long time." Bibidon said indifferently. If he used the god-killing spear, Lu Yuan would definitely win. However, Lu Yuan couldn't use the god-killing spear because Sendryu would definitely die if he did. The god-killing spear was too overbearing. Once it was used, there was no room for maneuver. Sendryu was one of them, and he was also Chihiro Snow's grandfather. Lu Yuan naturally couldn't kill him. Therefore, in Bibidon's opinion, the final winner should be Sendryu. However, she really hoped that Lu Yuan would win. "I also agree with His Holiness's opinion. Ibuchi's soul power is too weak compared to the head consecrator. Although he can resist for a short time, his soul power will run out after a long time, and he will lose." The golden crocodile said. "Not necessarily. He still has a trump card. This battle should be a draw. Both sides will be injured." Gu Yuana said indifferently. "What?" Hearing Gu Yuana's words, everyone couldn't help but be shocked. "You don't have enough soul power?" After using so many powerful moves, Lu Yuan only had less than 30% of his soul power left. However, Sendryu clearly still had plenty of soul power. An ultimate Douluo's soul power reserves were much more than his. "It seems like I have to condense my soul power core as soon as possible and store more soul power." Lu Yuan muttered softly, "But now, it's better to end this battle quickly." A fierce look flashed in Lu Yuan's eyes. He passed the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear to his left hand. His right hand seals changed, and the white clouds in the sky quickly gathered together. In an instant, the sky above Lu Yuan's head was filled with white clouds, blocking out the sunlight. "Grandfather, be careful. We'll decide the outcome with one move," Lu Yuan shouted. His hand seals changed again. The clouds surged and churned, condensing into 5-clawed true dragons that roared into the sky. In an instant, a terrifying dragon's aura filled the entire sky. True dragon treasured skill, dragon control, activate. Chapter 859. The dragon taming technique could control 10,000 dragons, and it could also condense true energy into a true dragon to defend against enemies. Lu Yuan could only rely on the true dragon treasured technique to defeat Sendryu when he couldn't use the god-slaying spear. The true dragon treasured technique was extremely powerful. Even if it was just one of the moves, it was still a great ability that shocked both ancient and modern times. Especially since Lu Yuan had the true dragon's bloodline, he could unleash the true dragon treasured technique's power to the extreme. When Lu Yuan used the dragon taming technique, the white clouds in the sky turned into true dragons. They were mighty, and 10,000 dragons danced in the sky. "Good lad, such a terrifying attack. It seems like I can't dodge it. I can only take it head-on." Sendryu sighed slightly. His 7th soul ring lit up, and the 6-winged angel martial soul walked into his body from his back and fused with him. At his level, he could already fuse with his martial soul. Even in his human form, he could still use the terrifying power of his martial soul true body. More importantly, he could use other soul skills at the same time in this form. The combination of the two was extremely terrifying. Sendryu's 9th blood-red soul ring lit up with a thought. Holy light burst forth, and a holy and majestic figure crossed the sky. There were 3 pairs of snow-white wings behind her back, and she held a gorgeous golden sword in her hand. The entire figure exuded a biting cold divine power. It was Sendriu's ninth soul skill, Angel's Descent. The angel goddess descended into the world, and her terrifying aura instantly locked onto Lu Yuan. I'm sure now. The angel goddess is indeed a woman. No wonder she chose Cher as her successor. Compared to the unclear carvings on the statue, the angel goddess's figure summoned by Sendriu's ninth soul skill was so clear that he could even see the angel goddess's beautiful face. She was very beautiful, and not inferior to Chihiro Snow at all. Coupled with her holy aura, she was really charming. I've digressed. Lu Yuan retracted his mind and focused his gaze. The hand seals in his hands changed again, and the cloud dragons in the sky roared at the sky, ready to attack. Let's see if your angel god's shadow is stronger, or if my dragon control technique is better. With a thought, Lu Yuan pointed with his right hand, and the cloud dragons that filled the sky rushed toward Sendriu. In an instant, tens of thousands of dragons rushed forward, and the scene was spectacular. Good timing. Sendriu let out a loud roar as he unleashed all of his soul power. The projection of the angel brandished its magnificent golden sword at the cloud dragons that filled the sky. What a terrifying exchange. Both sides are going all out. Looking at the battle in the mirror, Bibidon could not help but sigh softly. Based on the intensity of the attacks launched by these two people, even if she was at her peak, she would not have been able to deal with them. If I were in such a battle, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Looking at the fierce exchange in the sky, the explosion of energy, the collapse of space, the battle made the universe lose its color, and the sun and moon lose their light, Golden Crocodile could not help but sigh. If it were me, I'm afraid it would be even worse. I might be killed instantly. Qian Junxie and the other consecrators could not help but smile bitterly. For them, the battle in the sky was simply like a fight between immortals. True dragon treasured technique, worthy of its reputation. This dragon control technique is so wonderful. It's a pity that Ibuchi is just a beginner, otherwise he would have won today. Jiyu Yuena secretly said in her heart. The more powerful the technique, the more difficult it was to cultivate. Even she had to admit that this true dragon treasured technique was really difficult to cultivate after seeing the cultivation method of the true dragon claw. Today, if Lu Yuan's dragon control technique had reached a higher level, he would have won easily. Looking at the current situation, I'm afraid both sides have suffered heavy injuries, but Ibuchi has the secret character, so he should be fine. Looking at the battle in the sky, Jiyu Yuena said softly. As soon as Jiyu Yuena's voice fell, the situation in the sky suddenly changed. The gigantic angel phantom in front of Qian Dao Liu exploded, shattering into specks of light that filled the sky. The mighty cloud dragon was also beaten into a white mist and disintegrated. Lu Yuan and Sendriu were both hit by the backlash of the two terrifying forces. Almost at the same time, they spat out a big mouthful of blood, and their figures directly fell from the sky. The speed of their descent was extremely fast. In just a moment, they were already 100 meters away from the lake, and were about to fall into the lake. Seeing this scene, Jiyu Yuena's figure flashed, and directly went to the sky, caught Lu Yuan's body, and then floated to the ground. Golden Crocodile also hurriedly went to Sendriu, wanting to catch him. However, Sendriu fell from the sky, and the impact was huge. He was not Jiyu Yuena, so how could he withstand such a force? His whole body fell directly into the lake with Sendriu, splashing a large amount of water. Jiyu Yuena gently landed, and Lu Yuan's body was carried in her arms. Are you okay? Ibuchi. Seeing Jiyu Yuena land, Bibidon and the other girls quickly surrounded her. Puff. Lu Yuan spat out another mouthful of blood, and his whole face was as pale as paper. Bibidon and the others couldn't help but tremble, and became more anxious. I'm fine, put me down. Being princess carried by Jiyu Yuena in front of so many people, his old face was a little red. He was a grown man, so how could he be like this? No, you're injured, so be obedient. Jiyu Yuena shook her head, and rejected Lu Yuan's request. That's right, you're injured, and you still care about those superficial things. You're just trying to save face. Bibidon reprimanded indifferently, but her eyes were full of concern. Abuchi, be obedient. Hulena blinked and said softly, be obedient, you're not allowed to come down. Zhu Zhuqing's cold voice sounded. The four women all expressed their rejection of Lu Yuan's request. Okay then. Seeing that all of his wives were against it, he could only obediently obey. Although it was a little awkward being hugged by Jiu Yuana, it was still quite comfortable. After a pause, Lu Yuan asked worriedly, Grandpa, are you okay? Even with his false god body, he had suffered heavy injuries, and Sendriu's physique was not as good as his. Although his soul power was strong, his injuries were definitely more serious than his. I'm not sure. Bibidon and the others shook their heads. They only cared about Lu Yuan, so who had the time to check on Sendriu? Naya. Lu Yuan looked at Jiu Yuana. She was the strongest here, so she definitely knew whether Grandpa was injured or not. He's fine, he'll recover in a week, Jiu Yuana said. Hearing this, Lu Yuan immediately felt relieved. As soon as Jiu Yuana finished speaking, the surface of the lake exploded, and Golden Crocodile walked out with Sendriu in his arms. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper, and it was obvious that he had suffered heavy injuries. However, as Jiu Yuana said, he would recover in a week. Looking at Lu Yuan, Sendriu's pale face revealed a trace of a smile. Although he did not win this match, he had thoroughly seen Lu Yuan's strength. To be honest, he was satisfied with Lu Yuan's strength from the bottom of his heart. With Lu Yuan here, the martial soul palace could sit back and relax. Chapter 860. Sendriu coughed a few times, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were so bright. Gold Crocodile, Chen Jun, Zhon Mo. The six of you, listen carefully. From today onwards, all of you must follow Lu Yuan's orders. His orders are my orders. Do you hear me? Sendriu's voice sounded. Yes, Great Consecrator, we understand. Gold Crocodile and the others responded at the same time. Abuchi, from today onwards, I will hand over the consecration hall to you. You can command them as you wish, Sendriu said softly as he looked at Lu Yuan. If you hand over the consecration hall to me, what about you, Grandpa? Lu Yuan couldn't help but ask. Grandpa is old, and it's time to retire. In the future, it will be the stage for you young people. I wanted to pass it to Cher, but Cher's strength is still low. Moreover, you are the next pope, so I might as well hand over the consecration hall to you. Anyway, you and Cher are husband and wife. You are not an outsider, Sendriu said. The consecration hall was Sendriu's life's work, and it was also a force that belonged to the angel bloodline. Bibidon had always wanted to take it, but she had never been able to do so. Today, Sendriu actually handed it over to Lu Yuan, which really surprised everyone. Even Bibidon couldn't help but look surprised. It seemed that she didn't expect Sendriu to hand over the consecration hall to Lu Yuan. She couldn't help but view the 1,000 Dao stream in a higher light. This old man was quite bold. He was already old, and his ambition was lacking. Indeed, only by handing over these forces to Lu Yuan would the martial soul palace be able to develop better. It was rare for this old man to see things so clearly. Moreover, giving it to Lu Yuan was not like giving it to an outsider. If Lu Yuan and Chihiro Snow had a child in the future, these things would still return to the people with the blood of angels. Sendriu, this old man, was farsighted. Don't refuse. This is the only thing Grandpa can do for you, Sendriu said softly. All right. After a moment of silence, Lu Yuan spoke softly. Since Sendriu had put it this way, he naturally wouldn't refuse. Furthermore, the influence of the consecration hall was not weak. How could they not accept subordinates who delivered themselves to their doorstep? That's good. Hearing that Lu Yuan had accepted, Sendriu couldn't help but smile slightly. Handing the consecration hall over to Lu Yuan would not only make it more useful, but he could also concentrate on preparing for Chihiro Snow's 9 examinations and do his best to cultivate another god for the angels. This was the last wish in his heart. Ahem. Lu Yuan coughed. With a thought, the star ring flashed, and a jade bottle appeared in his hand. This is a superior healing pill, the pill of fortune reversal. It may not be able to bring the dead back to life, but it has a miraculous effect on healing injuries. Nana, help me give it to Grandpa. Lu Yuan turned his gaze to Hu Lena. Okay. Hu Lena nodded, then took the jade bottle, stepped forward, and handed it to Sendryu. Sendryu accepted the pill and looked at Lu Yuan with a softer gaze. Then Grandpa will leave first. Grandpa has to go back and recuperate. Kid, your strength is really not bad. Sendryu smiled. Grandpa, take care. Lu Yuan said softly. The golden crocodile carried Sendryu away, leaving only Lu Yuan, Bibidon, and the other two girls on the island in the middle of the lake. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a handsome guy as handsome as me? Seeing that the girls were staring at him, Lu Yuan couldn't help but chuckle and say, Bah, why are you still talking nonsense at this time? In this situation, healing injuries is the most important thing. Bibidon glared at Lu Yuan and reprimanded him. If you take the initiative to kiss me, maybe my injuries will be healed immediately. Looking at Bibidon, Lu Yuan said with a smirk. Go to hell, why are you still talking nonsense at this time? Bibidon looked at Lu Yuan, her pink eyes flashing with a trace of anger. She was really angry. Usually, he likes to talk nonsense and flirt with her, but when he is injured, he is not honest at all. Does he really not think about his own body at all? Carry me back, let's go back and recuperate. Seeing a trace of anger rise in Bibidon's eyes, Lu Yuan immediately admitted defeat. Except for Chihiro Snow, he was actually a little afraid of Bibidon. Maybe it was a habit formed since childhood. Okay. Jiu Yuena softly said. She carried Lu Yuan and walked toward a room not far away. Zhu Zhuqing and Hu Lena also prepared to go back, only Bibidon stood in the same place. Teacher, Hu Lena softly said with a trace of doubt in her eyes. You two go back first, I will go and arrange dinner. This little bastard is injured, he needs to be nourished. Bibidon said softly. Oh, then we will go back first. Hu Lena said and walked with Zhu Zhuqing in the direction of Jiu Yuena and Lu Yuan. Pushing open the door, Jiu Yuena placed Lu Yuan on the bed. Looking at him, Jiu Yuena's purple eyes contained a trace of concern. I am fine, I have the esoteric character. I just exhausted my soul power. Once my soul power recovers, this injury will be nothing. Holding Jiu Yuena's jade hand, Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. The esoteric character's recovery was heaven-defying, but it was the same as ordinary skills, it required soul power to activate. At this moment, Lu Yuan's soul power was exhausted, and his injuries would be difficult to recover in a short time. Then don't talk anymore, quickly meditate to recover. Jiu Yuena said. Okay. Lu Yuan nodded. He sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, and began to meditate. The clear chi scripture began to circulate, and his soul power began to slowly recover. As his soul power slowly recovered, the effects of the esoteric character also began to show. Lu Yuan's injuries were almost completely healed in an instant. After his injuries were healed, Lu Yuan continued to recover his soul power. After today's battle, Huo Yuhao's control over his soul power had increased once again. When he completely controlled the soul power in his body, his fighting strength should be able to increase a little. In today's battle, although he and Sendryu fought to a draw, in reality, Sendryu was still holding back. Although Sendryu used his 9th soul skill, Angel's Descent, he still had a trump card that he hadn't used. Once he used his divine power, Sendryu's strength would increase a lot. Unless he used the god-slaying spear, he would be defeated by Sendryu. Sendryu was the weakest ultimate Douluo in the world. Pasisi, Tang Chen, and the rest were all stronger than Sendryu. Long Xiaoyao's abilities were much weaker when he faced Lu Yuan because of the suppression of his martial soul bloodline. There was no comparison. Lu Yuan's fighting strength was undoubtedly at its peak right now, but he still had a long way to go if he wanted to rely on his strength to defeat these top-tier experts. The revolution hasn't succeeded yet. Comrade, you still have to work hard. I'm not strong enough now. I have to become stronger, Lu Yuan thought to himself. Chapter 861. An hour later, Lu Yuan finally opened his eyes. His polychoria flickered and a bolt of lightning flashed in the air. Lu Yuan exhaled slowly, and his pale face became rosy again. His aura surged, and a strong dragon's might permeated the air. Seeing Lu Yuan open his eyes, Jiyu Yuana couldn't help but ask, "You've recovered?" "I've recovered." Lu Yuan smiled faintly and took Jiyu Yuana's hand, and pulled her into his embrace. With Jiyu Yuana in his arms, Lu Yuan gently sniffed the fragrance of her body and caressed her beautiful face, and he couldn't help but feel a little moved in his heart. "Naya," Lu Yuan called out softly as he looked into Jiyu Yuana's mysterious and noble purple eyes. Her polychoria flickered with light. "You've only just recovered, so don't mess around. If you want, I'll give it to you in a few days." Jiyu Yuana blushed slightly under Lu Yuan's gaze. She understood the strange look in Lu Yuan's eyes. She was naturally very willing, but Lu Yuan's injuries had only just recovered, and she was afraid that it would affect Lu Yuan's body. "I've already recovered. Take a look if you don't believe me." Lu Yuan pointed to himself. "That won't do. Let's wait a few more days." Jiyu Yuana shook her head gently, but her voice was filled with determination. "All right." Seeing Jiyu Yuana's determined expression, Lu Yuan could only give up. He knew that although Jiyu Yuana was gentle like water, she was actually very opinionated. Once she decided on something, it was very difficult to change her mind. Not to mention, Jiyu Yuana was also worried about him. "Then can I at least kiss you twice?" Lu Yuan asked again as he looked at Jiyu Yuana without blinking. Looking at Jiyu Yuana, he always wanted to take advantage of her. Who told Jiyu Yuana to be so perfect that he couldn't help but be moved? Seeing Lu Yuan's expression, Jiyu Yuana was a little amused, but she didn't refuse this time. Instead, she closed her eyes slightly. Seeing this, Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile. Looking at Jiyu Yuana's delicate red lips, his heart moved slightly, and he couldn't help but lean forward. However, the heavens seemed to like to joke with him today. Just as he leaned forward, before he could kiss her, the space around them fluctuated, and they were interrupted again. Cough cough, subordinate seems to have come at the wrong time. Seeing the two hugging each other, Di Tian, who walked out of the space, couldn't help but cough, with an awkward expression. Di. Looking at Di Tian, Lu Yuan's eyes slightly narrowed, and a sense of danger. On the other hand, Jiyu Yuana's pretty face was also tense and expressionless. This caused Di Tian's body to involuntarily tremble as a trace of a bad feeling surged in his heart. "Since I've disturbed His Highness and His Honor's happy occasion, I'm afraid that I won't have a good ending." But who would have thought that it would be such a coincidence? "Master, why don't you continue while I wait outside?" As Di Tian spoke, he turned around and walked towards the spatial crack. "There's no need. What are you here for?" Jiyu Yuana stared at Di Tian and said plainly. Lu Yuan's double pupils also swept across Di Tian's body. If there was really something important, then it would be fine. But if there wasn't, then other than the two debts from before, there would be another one. Right now, he wasn't far from being able to beat up Di Tian. Under the suppression of his martial soul bloodline, Lu Yuan would be able to beat up Di Tian as long as his abilities improved. Being stared at by the two of them, Di Tian shivered, and immediately said, "I'm here for something important." Just 2 days ago, a group of people came from the Great Star Do Forest. They wanted to break into the core region, but they were ambushed by the Bear Lord, and left behind a ground full of corpses. Those people weren't weak, and there were 5 titled Douluo among them. "I think this matter isn't simple, so I'm here to report it to you." "Were they all carrying hammers?" Lu Yuan asked. "Yes, one of them was even a transcendent Douluo. He was the only one who managed to escape, and the rest were captured by the Bear Lord." Di Tian said. "They're indeed from the Clear Sky sect. It seems like they still jumped into the trap that we set up back then. The Bear Lord is impressive. He's indeed a bear that knows how to scheme." He captured 4 of the 5 titled Douluo, and only Tang Xiao managed to escape. The Clear Sky sect has suffered heavy losses this time. Including the one who stayed behind, there are only 2 titled Douluo left. They're not even as strong as the 7 Treasures Glazed sect. Lu Yuan thought to himself. How's the Bear Lord? Lu Yuan asked. He's fine. He ambushed us from behind and killed 2 titled Douluo. How can the rest be his match? Di Tian shook his head. He was very disdainful of the Bear Lord's sneaky ways. However, that fellow is also useless. He ambushed us from behind, but one of us still managed to escape. Di Tian said plainly. So be it. It doesn't matter. Now that the Clear Sky sect has suffered heavy losses, the opportunity that we've been waiting for is here. Lu Yuan narrowed his eyes and said plainly. Opportunity is here. What do you mean? Jiu Yuana asked in confusion. It's time to eliminate our enemies. Lu Yuan said gently. Is the news true? Bibidon looked at Lu Yuan with a questioning look in her eyes. It's true. Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. If it's true, then it's a good thing. Bibi Dong's eyes flickered as he said softly. It's indeed a good thing. We can begin our operation now. This time, we'll capture them all in one fell swoop. Lu Yuan clenched his fists. A fierce look flashed across his eyes. What do you plan to do? Bibidon asked plainly. It's simple. I'll ask Elder Long to bring everyone from the Hall of Worship to the Clear Sky sect. With 6 transcendent Douluo and 1 ultimate Douluo, not even a mosquito can escape from the Clear Sky sect. As for me, I'll bring the Chrysanthemum Douluo, Ghost Douluo, Sister Xiaodao, and Elder Hong Chen to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. They'll destroy the entire Clear Sky sect, Lu Yuan said. You're using a sledgehammer to kill a chicken with so many titled Soul Masters. But that's a foolproof plan. How about this? You can each bring 2,000 elite Soul Masters. We can't let you kill as you please. That'll be beneath your dignity. You can just let your subordinates do the work for you. Bibidon said. We'll do as you say. Lu Yuan stroked Bibidon's face and chuckled. Bibidon rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan, but she didn't resist. She was actually very fond of Lu Yuan's closeness. When do you plan to start the soul hunt? Bibidon asked. She had already given Lu Yuan full authority over this matter. 3 days from now. We have to be prepared. Lu Yuan narrowed his eyes and said lightly. 3 days from now? Bibidon murmured softly. Yes. 3 days from now, I want the Clear Sky sect and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect to cease to exist in this world. Lu Yuan spoke softly. His eyes were overflowing with killing intent. Chapter 862. Time flew by. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye, and it was already the 3rd day. In the side chamber of the Pope's palace, Bibidon was reading documents. The sound of footsteps attracted her attention. You're here. She put the document in her hand on the desk and looked at the person who came with a smile on her pretty face. En. Lu Yuan nodded, walked behind Bibidon, bent down, sat down, and hugged her from behind. He gently hugged Bibidon's waist and rested his chin on her shoulder. Pay attention, this is the side chamber. Being hugged by Lu Yuan, Bibidon couldn't help but grumble. This guy is getting bolder and bolder. He even dares to touch me in the side chamber of the Pope's palace. It's okay. When I came in, I told the palace knights not to let anyone in, so no one will disturb us. Lu Yuan said softly. You have a lot of ideas for this kind of thing. Listening to Lu Yuan's words, Bibidon said snappily. I can't help it. My Dong-a doesn't want others to know. I really don't like the feeling of hiding. Sniffing the faint fragrance in Bibidon's purple hair, Lu Yuan said softly. I also don't like to hide. I also want to be with you openly. Bibidon sighed. Didn't she want to be with Lu Yuan openly? She wanted to, she really wanted to, but, hearing this, Lu Yuan was silent. He naturally knew what Bibidon was worried about. Dong-a, I think there is only one strong evidence to prove that you and Cher have nothing to do with each other. Lu Yuan's heart skipped a beat as he said in a serious tone. What evidence? Bibidon asked curiously. Dong if Cher really has nothing to do with you, then you should still be a virgin, right? Lu Yuan rolled his eyes and asked in a low voice. Yes, what's wrong? Hearing this, Bibidong nodded and asked with some confusion. Then won't we know if you're a virgin after we get intimate? As long as you are a virgin, then wouldn't everything be solved? Lu Yuan said with a smirk. Little bastard, what are you talking about? Hearing these words, Bibidon immediately reprimanded. She turned around and her jade-like hands directly climbed onto Lu Yuan's ear. After which, she fiercely twisted it. Hiss. Being spun by Bibidon like this, Lu Yuan immediately sucked in a breath of cold air from the pain and hurriedly begged for mercy. Does it hurt? Serves him right. Bibidon glared at Lu Yuan. What nonsense was this guy talking about? He could even think of such a rotten idea. Moreover, maybe this guy was thinking of doing something bad in his heart. The more Bibidon thought about it, the angrier she became. She unconsciously increased the strength in her hand. What I said is very reasonable, Dong. This is definitely the most powerful evidence. Lu Yuan defended. Ph, I think you have bad intentions. Bibidon snorted. Sigh, I didn't expect you to think of me like this, Dong. I really just want to find evidence. Lu Yuan said sincerely. Only a ghost would believe you. Bibidon glanced at Lu Yuan, but the strength in her hand could not help but loosen a bit. Looking at Lu Yuan's grimacing in pain, regardless of whether he was faking it or not, her heart softened. Seeing this, Lu Yuan snickered slightly, and then once again took Bibidon into his arms. Looking at Bibidon's pretty face, Lu Yuan's expression changed, and he said righteously, "All right, let's stop fooling around. Let's get down to business." Seeing this, Bibidon's mouth twitched. This man's expression changed really quickly. Have you arranged everything? Bibidon calmed herself down and glanced at Lu Yuan as she asked plainly. Yes, I've arranged everything. The 4,000 elite soul masters will be split into 2 teams. Elder Long and Grandpa Golden Crocodile have already led one team to the Clear Sky sect 2 days ago. They will be on standby in secret. The other team, the Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo, have already set off yesterday. I think they should be in place by now. After midnight tonight, the 2 teams will attack at the same time and destroy the 2 sects in one fell swoop. Lu Yuan said softly. That's more like it. But didn't you say you were going to lead the team? It's already so late, and you're still in the Pontiff's palace? Bibidon pointed at the sky outside. It was almost noon. If they didn't hurry over now, they wouldn't be able to make it in time. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect was quite far from here. There's no hurry. Nar is here. When the time comes, I'll tear through space and arrive in an instant. I can even accompany you for dinner and have some fun before I go. It won't delay anything. Lu Yuan chuckled. You're really lucky to be able to find such an outstanding girlfriend like Jiu Yuana. Bibidon glanced at Lu Yuan. No, it's true that I was extremely lucky, but the luckiest thing was meeting you, meeting My Majesty the Empress. Lu Yuan chuckled. You only know how to say nice things to coax people, Bibidon muttered softly, but her eyes were full of smiles. Another arrogant woman. No, she's an arrogant empress. Lu Yuan sighed inwardly at the sight of Bibidon's expression. The sun gradually set and the curtain of night fell. In the pavilion at the center of the lake, the candlelight flickered and several figures appeared. Dong, I'll be leaving first. Looking at Bibi Dong, who was particularly beautiful under the candlelight, Lu Yuan's heart skipped a beat and he said faintly, Go, come back when you're done. Don't mess around as soon as you go out. Bibidon got up and straightened out Lu Yuan's clothes. Don't worry, Lu Yuan said with a smile as he patted Bibidon's hand. Turning around, Lu Yuan walked out of the pavilion with Jiu Yuana at his side. Lu Yuan looked up at the pitch-black sky. It was supposed to be the night of the 15th, but the moonlight today was particularly dim. A large mass of dark clouds had obscured the moon. Even the heavens are helping us. The moon is dark and the wind is strong. It's the best time to kill someone. Lu Yuan chuckled and took Jiu Yuana's hand in his. Jiu Yuana waved her hand in the air, and a spatial crack immediately appeared. Let's go. Lu Yuan chuckled. Looking at the spatial crack, the two of them walked straight in. Is the holy sun not here yet? The night was slightly chilly, and it was almost midnight. However, Lu Yuan was still nowhere to be seen. The Douluo couldn't help but feel a little anxious. What's the hurry? Master is never late. Just wait patiently. Ma Xiaodao crossed her arms in front of her chest. Her beautiful oval face didn't show any emotions at all. She had been very disappointed over the past few days because Lu Yuan was too strong now. He had already surpassed her, and he didn't need her protection anymore. She felt very useless. She didn't know how to create soul tools, nor did she know how to manage affairs. She probably wouldn't be able to help Master in the future. Chapter 863. When he was in a bad mood, the words that came out of his mouth were naturally harsh. Brother Ju, you don't have to be anxious. Master has always done things in an orderly manner. He won't be late for something as important as a soul hunt. Master will be here soon. Brother Ju, you can relax. Jing Hongchen spoke softly. His words were much more artistic than Ma Xiaotao's. Ma Xiaodao was very straightforward, and she spoke whatever was on her mind. It was very difficult for her to hide anything. However, Jing Hongchen was different. He was an old fox, and he was very cunning. Brother Hongchen, you're right. I was too anxious. The soul hunt is too important, and I was a little nervous. The Douluo said. Haha, I understand. Jing Hongchen chortled. Why are you so happy? Tell me about it. Just as Jing Hongchen finished speaking, a clear voice rang out. A crack appeared in space, and Lu Yuan and Jiu Yuana walked out from it, hand in hand. Greetings, Master. Greetings, Holy Sun. When they saw Lu Yuan, they all greeted him. There's no need for such formalities. Lu Yuan scanned his surroundings. 2,000 elite soul masters were hidden in the dense forest. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect's territory was very big, and this dense forest was their territory. It was also very remote, and it was located behind the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect. Very few people came here. Furthermore, it wasn't far from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect. If they were to ambush them, they wouldn't be able to react. It was a very good place to hide their troops. Lu Yuan discovered that the so-called three upper sects all had dense forests behind them. The Seven Treasures Glazed Sect aside, Long Xiaoyaro and Golden Crocodile had led their troops to ambush the Clear Sky Sect's back mountain. It had to be said that this was a little interesting. As he scanned the 2,000 elite soul masters, Lu Yuan revealed a satisfied smile on his face. These 2,000 soul masters were transferred from the Holy Dragon Army. They were well trained, and their fighting strength was impressive. It seems like you're almost done with your arrangements. Lu Yuan said with a smile. Everything has been arranged. We're just waiting for Holy Sun to give the order before we launch an all-out attack. The chrysanthemum Douluo replied in a respectful manner. The current Lu Yuan was no longer the Lu Yuan of the past. He had fought to a draw with the 1,000 Streams, and had also taken over the matter of the Consecration Hall. The upper echelons of the Martial Spirit Palace had long known about it. Therefore, he didn't dare to treat Lu Yuan as casually as before. The hierarchy in the Martial Soul Palace was very strict. Lu Yuan would become the Pope sooner or later, and by then, he would be the one he would have to pledge his loyalty to. Therefore, there were some things that needed to be prepared in advance. Not bad. Thank you for your hard work, Lu Yuan said softly. We're doing all of this for the sake of the Martial Soul Palace. We wouldn't dare to say that it's been hard on you, the Douluo replied. Lu Yuan's eyes flashed upon hearing this, and he patted Douluo on the shoulder as he said, Uncle Ju, you've watched me grow up, so there's no need to be so formal with me. Your Highness, the chosen saint, etiquette cannot be ignored. Douluo was very touched, but he still insisted on maintaining his etiquette. Lu Yuan could ignore this, but he couldn't ignore it. So be it. Lu Yuan heaved a faint sigh and didn't force the issue. This was the loneliness of being in a position of power. In the past, Douluo had called him a Buchi and regarded him as his nephew, but now, he had become like this. He had become just like everyone else. Is there anything out of the ordinary with the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect? Lu Yuan asked in an indifferent voice. There's nothing out of the ordinary. They haven't discovered anything. Douluo replied. That's good. Since that's the case, let's wait. When the hour is over and they all fall into a deep sleep, we'll wipe them all out in one fell swoop. Lu Yuan clenched his fists and said with a hint of coldness in his voice. Cold winds blew past, and the temperature gradually dropped. The occasional insect cries in the dense forest also disappeared, and it was already the latter half of the night. All of a sudden, Lu Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly as he instructed, it's time to launch an all-out attack. Yes, Your Highness. Douluo and the others replied in unison before leading 2,000 elite soul masters toward the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect's encampment. This is destined to be a night filled with bloodshed. Lu Yuan clasped his hands behind his back as he slowly followed along. Outside the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, a group of people were on duty. As one of the three upper sects, they naturally had their own patrol teams. However, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect was extremely renowned, and they didn't believe that anyone would dare to provoke them. On top of that, it was already the latter half of the night, and they were at their most sleepy, so their defenses were extremely powerful. Splat! A sharp blade slit his throat, and blood splattered through the air. One of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect disciples on duty was killed on the spot. Behind him, a soul master from the Martial Soul Palace appeared before gently placing his corpse down without making a single sound. The same thing was taking place at the same time. One guard after another was being assassinated, and the entire Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect security system was almost completely uprooted. After taking care of these guards, 2,000 elite soul masters rushed into the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect in a frenzy, and the massacre began. Flames gradually began to appear, and murder and arson were being carried out at the same time. Blood-curdling screams and howls of anguish rang out one after another. The entire Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect had suffered heavy losses after being ambushed in their sleep. However, they gradually came to their senses and began to retaliate. However, it was already too late for them to do so. In the face of the Martial Soul Palace, who were already prepared for this, the casualties continued to mount. Chrysanthemum Pass, Gui Mai, you're all courting death. A loud roar rang out as an old man with white hair and a white beard pounced directly toward the Douluo, who was in the midst of a massacre. Bam! A resounding boom rang out as the Douluo stumbled back a few steps before killing one of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect disciples beside him with a smile on his face. You're too late, Yu Engine. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect is almost gone. The Douluo chuckled. They had slaughtered many people along the way. Big brother, we've already been surrounded by the Martial Soul Palace. Most of our direct disciples have been killed, and many of them have been killed. Yu Luomian's voice was tinged with a hint of anguish. They had been caught off guard by the Martial Soul Palace, and they had suffered heavy losses before they could even react. Furthermore, these people had set fire to the entire Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, and many of the people who hadn't been able to escape in time had been burned to death. The rest of the warriors were gathering together, struggling to resist the Martial Spirit Palace's attack. Yu Engine's eyes immediately turned bloodshot upon hearing Yu Luomian's words. He threw his head back and howled with fury. His heart was bleeding from the heavy losses they had suffered. Martial Soul Palace, you all deserve to die. Yu Engine was in a frenzy as he pounced toward the Douluo. Lightning flashed as the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Martial Soul appeared, and Yu Engine unleashed a violent barrage of attacks from the get-go. Chapter 864. Great. The Chrysanthemum Douluo wasn't afraid at all. His singular velvet sky connecting chrysanthemum shone brightly as he charged forward. It's your turn. Gui Mai chuckled as he looked at Yu Luomian. A sinister aura immediately spread. Yu Luomian's expression changed when he heard Gui Douluo's words. He was only a soul Douluo. Tap, tap, tap. This was the sound of footsteps on the limestone floor. Lu Yuan stood outside the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect's gate with his hands behind his back. His eyes were focused, and everywhere he looked, there was fire. The raging fire was exuding terrifying heat. When the fire was extinguished, the entire Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect's base would be reduced to rubble. Of course, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect would no longer exist in this world. What a big fire! Jiyu Yuana stood beside Lu Yuan. Her purple eyes flickered as she spoke softly. It's not just fire. There's also blood and cries of agony. Lu Yuan said. Actually, you don't want to kill, right? Jiyu Yuana stared at Lu Yuan as she asked gently. I'm not a butcher. Why would I like to kill people for no reason? However, for the sake of the Martial Soul Hall's great cause, for the sake of the continent's unification, and for the sake of unifying the continent's strength to resist the Sun Moon Empire and the Holy Ghost Church's invasion, these people must be killed. Lu Yuan's tone was indifferent, but he didn't hide the killing intent in his voice at all. Just as he had said, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect was only slaughtered because they were in the way. If they didn't kill their enemies when they encountered them, were they supposed to keep them for the new year? Regardless of whether it was Lu Yuan, Bibidon, or Chihiro Snow, they were all very decisive. They would naturally eliminate their enemies as soon as they encountered them. That's true, but you don't seem happy right now. Jiyu Yuana said. Says who? I'm very happy. I've wanted to destroy the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect for a long time. I'm very happy to see this. Lu Yuan retorted as he walked forward with his hands behind his back. You're so stubborn. Jiyu Yuana grunted as she followed behind Lu Yuan. Chrysanthemum pass, die. Yu Yuanjin seemed to have gone berserk as he unleashed a barrage of attacks, and the Chrysanthemum Douluo was struggling to keep up. Boom. Their palms clashed, and the Ju Douluo was sent flying back over 10 meters. What a good old dragon. This attack power is really strong. Ju Douluo's brows furrowed slightly upon hearing this. Even with his rank 96 powers, he was unable to oppose Yu Yuanjin in his current state. Was the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon really that powerful? Yu Yuanjin was one level lower than him. Let me help you, Yu Guan. Gui Douluo tossed the half-dead Jade Luo crown aside. He was a rank 95 Transcendent Douluo, so how could a mere Soul Douluo be a match for him? He then rushed toward the Ju Douluo and Yu Yuanjin's battlefield, and the two of them began to engage in a 2-on-1 battle. The Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo had been working together for many years, and they had developed a rapport with one another. However, Yu Yuanjin wasn't a simple person, either. After seeing that even Jade Luo Crown had died, he became even crazier. He didn't care about his own life as he fought, and the Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo were locked in a fierce battle. The sky was filled with flowers, lightning, and ghostly shadows. The three of them were fighting an earth-shattering battle. Under their attacks, the surrounding houses that had already been burned down were reduced to rubble. Everyone within 300 meters of their battlefield had been killed, and the remaining people didn't dare to come any closer. Interesting. This Yu Yuanjin is quite capable. A clear voice rang out as Lu Yuan walked over slowly. He had finally arrived at this battlefield. Watching the battle between the three of them, Lu Yuan could not help but be surprised. Master, a female voice rang out, and Ma Xiaodao appeared. She was dressed in red, and her tender face appeared exceptionally beautiful under the illumination of the flames. As a transcendent Douluo, she and Jing Hongchen had been killing soul sages and setting fires when Yu Yuanjin was being held back by the Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo. Over this period of time, she and Jing Hongchen had already killed all the high-tier soul masters in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan who were soul sages and above. Right now, there were only a few low-level soul masters left in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. They wouldn't attack these soul masters, and the elite soul masters from the Martial Soul Palace would take care of them. Is everything done? Lu Yuan asked. Yes, it's all been dealt with. The high-grade soul masters have all been eradicated. Ma Xiaodao replied. It's been hard on you, Sister Xiaodao, Lu Yuan said softly, and reached out to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. My lord. Seeing Lu Yuan's action, Ma Xiaodao's pretty face couldn't help but blush. Call me brother. I've always treated you as an elder sister. Chioa is my younger sister, so you can be my elder sister from now on. Lu Yuan said gently. This. Ma Xiaodao was stunned when she heard Lu Yuan's words. Are you unwilling? Lu Yuan asked. I'm willing, Ma Xiaodao said hurriedly. Of course she was willing. She was just too happy, and was stunned for a moment. That's great. I'll have another family member in the future. Lu Yuan smiled. Ma Xiaodao had been by his side for a long time, and had been protecting him since he was weak. Furthermore, she was different from Long Xiaoyaro and the others, who were respectful and reverent. Ma Xiaodao had a bright personality, and they got along very well. He didn't lack subordinates. What he lacked were friends and family. After interacting with Ma Xiaodao for so long, he treated her like an elder sister in his heart. Furthermore, he had noticed the changes in Ma Xiaodao's mentality over the past few days. He was getting stronger and stronger, and didn't need anyone to protect him anymore. Ma Xiaodao was probably disappointed because of this. That was why he suggested this today. He wanted to make Ma Xiaodao happier. Congratulations, you have another elder sister. Jiyu Yuana's gaze swept across Ma Xiaodao's body, and her purple eyes carried a strange glow. She thought that Lu Yuan's old habits were acting up, and that he was tempted again. She didn't expect him to acknowledge her as his elder sister. This fellow has such a beautiful woman by his side, but he doesn't have any bad intentions. Is this still the Lu Yuan that I know? Jiyu Yuana looked at Lu Yuan. She realized that this man liked beautiful women, but he didn't fall in love with every single one he saw. Congratulations to you too. Now that I have another elder sister, doesn't that mean you have another elder sister too? Lu Yuan said with a smile as he pinched Jiyu Yuana's beautiful face. Become my elder sister? Jiyu Yuana's mouth twitched. She was with Lu Yuan because of love. There was no age difference in love. However, to have another elder sister, this. Chapter 865. This made her feel a little strange. Ma Xiaodao was only in her early 30s. As for how old she was, she could only give a rough estimate. She couldn't remember her exact age. There was probably no one in the world who could be her older sister. Haha. Lu Yuan couldn't help but laugh at Jiyu Yuana's adorable expression. He had blurted it out, and only then did he realize that his girlfriend wasn't that young. She'd probably feel awkward calling Ma Xiaodao older sister. Alright, let's just call each other our own from now on. Lu Yuan smiled. Jiyu Yuana heaved a sigh of relief. That's more like it. Lu Yuan pinched Jiyu Yuana's cheeks again, then withdrew his hand and looked at the battlefield in the distance. Yu Yuanjin was fighting with his life on the line, and he wasn't at a disadvantage against the Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo. As the battle continued, the three of them were already injured. Even if Yu Yuanjin died, the Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo would be seriously injured. No wonder Yu Yuanjin could take down a titled battle pet warrior of the Martial Soul Palace with him. When he went crazy, his strength was quite impressive. Interesting. This situation doesn't look good. The Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo won't be able to take down Yu Yuanjin. Lu Yuan's eyes flashed, and his voice rang out. Mars, little brother, let me go. I promise I'll take down Yu Yuanjin's head. Ma Xiaodao volunteered. She had the Fire Phoenix Martial Soul and 100,000-year soul ring. Taking down Yu Yuanjin would be a piece of cake. I'll go. My hands are itching anyway. Big sister, you and Nea can just watch. Lu Yuan chuckled. Alright then. Be careful, Ma Xiaodao said. It doesn't matter. To me, he's just a slightly bigger ant. Lu Yuan waved his hands and said nonchalantly. Even the golden crocodile couldn't take more than a few hits from him. Yu Yuanjin was nothing. Moreover, under the suppression of his bloodline, Yu Yuanjun wouldn't even have the power to fight back. Elder Chrysanthemum, Elder Ghost, you two come back first. Let me do it. Lu Yuan spoke softly, his indifferent voice spreading out. Upon hearing Lu Yuan's voice, the Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo unleashed powerful attacks at the same time, sending Yu Yuanjun flying as they silently retreated. Moonpass, where do you think you're going? Seeing as the Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo were about to retreat from the battlefield, Yu Yuanjun naturally wasn't going to give up just like that. Roar. A loud dragon roar resounded. A 10-meter-long 5-clawed golden dragon flew across the sky and hit Yu Yuanjun. Yu Yuanjun's body was sent flying into the ruins. Lu Yuan glanced at the Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo, and said, "You can leave now." Since the two of them had distanced themselves from him and only knew how to revere him, Lu Yuan did not force them. If you want to be my subordinate, then so be it. All you have to do is listen to me in the future. Lu Yuan's mentality changed once again. Yes, Your Highness. The Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo focused their gazes. They could sense that Lu Yuan's aura was becoming more and more powerful, and he was becoming more and more overbearing. They even felt that Lu Yuan's might had already surpassed that of Pope Bibidon. Hence, in the face of Lu Yuan's words, they subconsciously chose to obey. Ah! A roar sounded, and Yu Yuanjun rushed out of the ruins. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, which was clearly caused by Lu Yuan's casual palm strike. With Lu Yuan's current fighting prowess, a casual palm strike was extremely powerful. Dragon form? You're really thorough. Lu Yuan smiled faintly as he looked at Yu Yuanjun, who was covered in bluish-purple scales. The current Yu Yuanjun was like a human-shaped Tyrannosaurus. Lu Yuan's 5-clawed golden dragon king martial soul naturally had dragon form, but Lu Yuan rarely used it. Although dragon form's enhancement was not bad, it was too ugly. It was different from Shenzhen's transformation into the 5-clawed golden dragon king. When he was in human form, dragon form's entire face was covered in dragon scales. Not only was it ugly, but it also made him look like a wild beast. With Lu Yuan's obsession with appearances, he rejected dragon form's ugly appearance. For example, Yu Yuanjun in front of him was very ugly. "Kid, I'm going to kill you." Kill. Yu Yuanjun's aura surged, and his killing intent overflowed. In his berserk state, he was dominated by his bestial nature, and he only wanted to tear Lu Yuan to pieces. "You're courting death." Lu Yuan's tone was indifferent. He circulated his bloodline, and a boundless dragon's aura suddenly swept across the entire area. Enveloped by this monstrous dragon's aura, Yu Yuanjun's entire body shook. Even the lightning on his body wilted, and his bloodline couldn't help but freeze. Dragon form's effect was instantly withdrawn. The blood-red color in his eyes gradually dissipated. Under this pressure, which made the depths of his bloodline tremble, he actually woke up from his madness. "Kneel!" Lu Yuan shouted. Golden blood energy spread out from his body, and the monstrous dragon's aura suddenly increased by a few degrees. Jiyu Yuana frowned slightly. This pressure was so strong that it made her bloodline somewhat chaotic. With a thought, her vigorous divine power immediately suppressed the fluctuations of her bloodline. Even Jiyu Yuana was affected, let alone Yu Yuanjun. He simply had no power to resist, and with a plop, he knelt on the ground. Under the suppression of Lu Yuan's bloodline, a strong desire to crawl surged from the bottom of his heart. This was the subservience of a subordinate to a superior. "You, who are you?" Yu Yuanjun supported himself with both hands to prevent himself from falling. He struggled to raise his head, looked at Lu Yuan, and asked in a hoarse voice, "Why do you know so much when you're about to die?" Lu Yuan's gaze was indifferent. The bloodline in his body strengthened again. The terrifying pressure directly pressed Yu Yuanjun to the ground. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't get up. "The way you're lying on the ground is quite similar to your grandson, Yu Tianheng." Looking at Yu Yuanjun's appearance, Lu Yuan couldn't help but chuckle softly. "Tianheng." Yu Yuanjun muttered softly. Then, As if he suddenly remembered something, he said, "You're the Dragon King Palace Lord, Lu Yuan. Your Dragon King Palace is in cahoots with the Martial Soul Palace. Everyone in the world has been deceived by you." At this moment, Yu Yuanzhen's mind suddenly became unusually nimble. He actually deduced everything. "You're right, but it's a pity that you found out too late. Rest in peace, Ant." Lu Yuan smiled faintly. He raised his right hand and slapped down from the sky. Suddenly, there was a burst of dragon roars, and a dazzling golden light burst out. A huge golden dragon phantom of 100 meters long descended from the sky and pressed down on Yu Yuanzhen. Suddenly, the earth shook, and smoke billowed. With Yu Yuanzhen as the center, a 200-meter radius around him was directly penetrated by Lu Yuan's palm. As for Yu Yuanzhen, he couldn't be more dead. Chapter 866. Golden Dragon Ascends to the Heavens. This was the skill that Lu Yuan had just unleashed, and it came from the second-generation Golden Dragon right arm bone, a divine-grade soul bone. It was naturally very powerful, and it was a worthy death for Yu Yuanzhen to be killed by this attack. Lu Yuan waved his right hand through the air, and the scene within the crater was revealed to him. Yu Yuanzhen had already been reduced to mincemeat, but his soul bone was still there. "I can't forget about the soul bone, it's very valuable." Lu Yuan waved a hand, and 4 soul bones flew into Lu Yuan's hand. "Only 4 soul bones? This Yu Yuanzhen sure is shabby, but soul beasts with dragon bloodlines are very rare, so it's normal for soul bones to be rare. On top of that, these soul bones are all over 30,000 years old. In particular, this left arm bone is a pure dragon soul bone with a lifespan of 80,000 years. Looks like it's a treasure passed down in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. I can give it to Chioa, it's a good match for her." Lu Yuan murmured to himself. Lu Yuan stowed away the soul bone and turned around. Yu Yuanzhen was already dead, so there was no need for him to worry about anything else. "Your Highness is truly impressive. You took care of Yu Yuanzhen with just a few punches and kicks." Ju Douluo sighed. He and Gui Douluo were unable to take down Yu Yuanzhen even after joining forces, but Lu Yuan had reduced him to mincemeat with just a few casual punches. His powers were truly terrifying. Yu Yuanzhen is nothing. Now that Yu Yuanzhen is dead, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect is no longer worth paying attention to. "I'm going to take my leave, you two take care of the rest. By the way, remember to bring back the treasures in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan's treasury. It's all money, so don't waste it." This is the legacy of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. Lu Yuan looked at the two of them in an indifferent manner. "Rest assured, Your Highness, we understand," the two of them replied in unison. "All right." Lu Yuan nodded before making his way over to Jiu Yuana, and said, "Let's go back, Enea." "All right." Jiu Yuana waved a hand through the air, and a spatial rift appeared. "Sis, do you want to come with me?" Lu Yuan looked at Ma Xiaodao. Ma Xiaodao took 2 steps forward and walked to Lu Yuan's side. She opened her red lips slightly and sent him a secret voice-sending message. "I won't be going back. I'll stay here and help you keep an eye on them. The matter of the treasury is of great importance. It's inevitable that they won't be greedy. They won't. There's no need to doubt their loyalty to the Martial Soul Palace. Furthermore, they wouldn't dare to hide the things I named. But if you insist on staying, that's fine too." "I'll agree." Looking at Ma Xiaotao's big red eyes, Lu Yuan said softly. He could understand Ma Xiaotao's thoughts. Ma Xiaodao wanted to help him with something. Ma Xiaodao had good intentions, so he naturally wouldn't refuse. "Take care of yourself. Don't tire yourself out," Lu Yuan urged. "I will. Don't worry." Ma Xiaodao smiled, and her smile was exceptionally radiant. Lu Yuan smiled and patted Ma Xiaotao's shoulder. Then, he held Jiu Yuana's hand and walked directly into the spatial rift. On the island in the center of the lake, a spatial rift appeared, and Lu Yuan and Jiu Yuana's figures appeared. Seeing the light in Bibidan's room, Lu Yuan frowned and said softly, "Still not asleep? It's getting late." The Cho hour is about to end, but this woman is still awake. Doesn't she know that staying up late is bad for her body? You go back first. I'll go take a look. Lu Yuan tilted his head and looked at Jiu Yuana. Are you coming back? Jiu Yuana looked at Lu Yuan and asked softly. As soon as she finished speaking, she shook her head and said, you probably won't be coming back. Be careful. Don't play too crazily. Hearing this, Lu Yuan's lips twitched. What was this woman saying? Was he that impatient? If he really didn't have that much patience, then he would have already eaten her clean in the past 2 days. PFFFT, I'm just teasing you. Jiu Yuana burst into laughter at the sight of Lu Yuan's expression. You've also learned bad things. Lu Yuan grumbled. I've been with you for too long. Jiu Yuana blinked her eyes, and a rare hint of playfulness appeared on her face. Nonsense. Lu Yuan rolled his eyes. What did this have to do with him? All right, I won't tease you anymore. I'm going to go now. Jiu Yuana gently planted a kiss on Lu Yuan's lips, and then walked briskly toward her room. Has Nea been led astray by senior sister? Where's my gentle and understanding Nea? Lu Yuan murmured to himself as he looked at Jiu Yuana's departing figure. He seriously suspected that Helena had instilled some bad ideas into Jiu Yuana's head over the past few days. Jiu Yuana had always been as gentle as autumn water, so when did she have such a playful side to her? But her gentleness with a hint of playfulness isn't bad. Lu Yuan stroked his chin gently as he murmured to himself. After standing there for a while, Lu Yuan turned around and walked toward Bibidan's room. In Bibidan's room, she was sitting on a chair with a gentle expression on her face as she read a book in her hand. It's already so late, why aren't you sleeping? A soft voice sounded, and Lu Yuan's figure appeared beside her. I've been waiting for you. Bibidan smiled as she picked up the teapot beside her and poured a cup of tea for Lu Yuan. Ari, it's already cold. Bibidan couldn't help but sigh as he touched the icy-cold tea. So what if it's cold? It's fine. Lu Yuan sat down beside Bibidan and raised his teacup before draining it in a single gulp. With his powerful physique, a cup of cold tea was nothing to him. Lu Yuan placed the teacup down before grabbing Bibidan's hand and gently squeezing it. Don't stay up too late in the future. It's easy to harm your body, Lu Yuan said with concern in his voice. I understand. Bibidan's heart warmed slightly at Lu Yuan's words of concern. What's the situation like? Bibidan asked. I personally took action, so I'm naturally confident in my victory. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect has been completely destroyed, and I killed Yu Yuanjin with a single palm strike. Lu Yuan replied in an indifferent voice. But what? Bibidan asked. But the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect is indeed one of the 3 upper sects. We ambushed them in secret, but they still suffered significant losses. Yu Yuanjin even managed to take on the Chrysanthemum Douluo and the Ghost Douluo by himself. He's quite strong. Lu Yuan said. It's normal. Bibidan nodded. Then, he changed the topic and asked, I wonder how the Supreme Sky Sect is doing. With Elder Long, an ultimate Douluo, leading the team, and the 6 Reverends, the Clear Sky Sect can't retaliate at all. It's a foregone conclusion that they'll be destroyed. There's no need to worry. Even if Tang Chen was still around, they would still be destroyed. Tang Chen isn't around, Lu Yuan said with a smile. As a precaution, he had secretly sent Di Tian to follow them. Even if the Clear Sky Sect had 9 lives, they wouldn't be able to survive. Chapter 867. You're right. Bibidan nodded after hearing Lu Yuan's words. An ultimate Douluo with 6 transcendent Douluo who were above rank 95 was not something that the Clear Sky Sect could deal with. After the incident in the Great Star Do Forest, the Clear Sky Sect was only left with 2 titled Douluo. Furthermore, Tang Xiao was injured. Faced with such a magnificent lineup from the Martial Soul Palace, the Clear Sky Sect was destined to die. That's why you don't have to worry. It's getting late. Get up early, Lu Yuan said gently as he caressed Bibidan's long purple hair. Bibidon wasn't wearing a crown in the room. Her long purple hair was soft and smooth to the touch. It was very comfortable. You should go to sleep too. You've been tired for most of the night, Bibidon said concernedly. All right, I'll go to sleep now. Lu Yuan revealed a mischievous smile. He reached out and carried Bibidon horizontally. What are you doing? Bibidon stared at Lu Yuan. There was a tinge of panic in her pink eyes. Douluo, are you afraid? Lu Yuan frowned as he looked at Bibidon. He asked gently. No, I'm just a little nervous, Bibidon said. Why are you nervous? Lu Yuan asked with a smile. What do you think? Bibidon asked. There's nothing to be nervous about. I'm not doing anything. I'm just hugging you to sleep. Lu Yuan said with a smile. Really? Bibidon looked at Lu Yuan with a scrutinizing gaze. Can I believe his words? Of course, Lu Yuan said. I don't believe you. Bibidon shook her head. Can this guy control himself while hugging a beauty like me? You can only choose to believe me. Lu Yuan smiled. Shameless. Bibidon glared at Lu Yuan, but when she saw Lu Yuan's handsome face, her gaze slowly softened. Sigh, I knew that this day would come sooner or later. I can't hide from it. Little bastard, be gentler. Bibidon bit her red lips with her pearly white teeth. Her face was completely red as she spoke in a weak voice. Douluo, what did you say? Listening to Bibidon's words, Lu Yuan was a little stunned. He really didn't have any bad intentions. He didn't expect Bibidon to be so proactive. Idiot, didn't you say you wanted to prove it? Then what are you hesitating for? Bibidon spoke softly. She stretched out her hand and gently stroked Lu Yuan's face. Her eyes were filled with passion. Lu Yuan missed her. In fact, she was also restraining her emotions. It was very uncomfortable. Today, Lu Yuan took the initiative to hug her. They were a man and a woman alone in a room. She couldn't hold back the throbbing in her heart any longer. A strong sense of love gushed out crazily. She was a person who dared to love and hate. Now that she was in love, she threw everything aside. You don't care about so much anymore? Lu Yuan recovered from his daze. I don't want to hide anymore. I can't take it anymore. Little bastard, how confident are you about the success rate of the proof? Bibidon asked. 100%. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Then let's do it. Bibidon gritted her teeth and gently closed her eyes. This is the Bibidon I know. Daring to love and hate. But this time, Nao was right. Lu Yuan murmured softly. A trace of a bitter smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He carried Bibidon and walked towards the bed. The next day, it was already 9 in the morning. The sun hung high in the sky. Hulena, Zhu Zhuqing, and Jiu Yuena were leisurely sipping tea in the pavilion at the center of the lake. Where's teacher and Ibuchi? Why haven't I seen them for so long? Hulena asked doubtfully. Don't ask. They won't be able to get up for a while. Zhu Zhuqing's eyes flashed. Zhuqing, you're saying that teacher and Ibuchi? Hulena seemed to have thought of something and a trace of surprise appeared on her face. After Ibuchi came back last night, he went to her room and hasn't come out until now. Jiu Yuena took a sip of tea and said calmly, it looks like teacher and them are finally together. That's great. The two of them were so worried about this and that. I felt bad for them. Now that they're finally together, I'm really happy for them. Hulena smiled happily. But, as she spoke, Hulena's tone changed. But what? Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but ask. Jiu Yuena also cast a puzzled look at Hulena. But with teacher's strength, she was fine before. Now that she's together with Ibuchi, she'll definitely want to fight for something. She won't let others suppress her so easily. I'm afraid that Chihiro Snow's position as the main wife is not guaranteed. Hulena said, pretending to be serious. I thought you were going to say something. This has nothing to do with me. Zhu Zhuqing said softly. In any case, it wasn't her turn to be the main wife. She couldn't be bothered to meddle in other people's business. Boring. Jiu Yuena said softly. She didn't care about these boring things. She was satisfied as long as she could be with Lu Yuan. Apart from Lu Yuan, no one could order her around. You guys are so boring. Helena pursed her lips. They weren't interested in such exciting things. I support teacher. She's graceful and magnanimous. She has the bearing of a main wife. Helena changed her tone and said softly. Jiu Yuana and Zhu Zhuqing glanced at her at the same time and then looked away. What's the use of your support? In the end, it all depends on Abuchi's opinion. The two girls secretly thought in their hearts. Look. Pointing to the bright red plum blossom on the bedsheet, Lu Yuan had a smile on his face. Facts speak louder than words. We made the right bet, Lu Yuan said softly while holding Bibidon's delicate body. Bibidon nodded gently. Looking at the bright red plum blossom, her beautiful eyes were slightly moist. Abuchi, I'm worthy of you. I'm clean. Bibidon looked at Lu Yuan. Her pink eyes were covered with layers of mist and tears dripped from her eyes. Silly why are you crying? I've never cared about these things. But with this proof, we can be together openly in the future. You and Cher have nothing to do with each other. This is an ironclad fact. Wiping the tears from Bibidon's eyes, Lu Yuan said softly. Bibidon softly hummed. Her soft and delicate body burrowed into Lu Yuan's arms, enjoying the warmth. The decision last night was actually a gamble. If the gamble was won, she and Chihiro Snow had nothing to do with each other. Naturally, it would be best. If the gamble was wrong, it would violate the taboo and the consequences, but fortunately, they made the right bet. There was nothing more convincing than this. From now on, she no longer needed to hide her relationship with Lu Yuan. She could be together with him openly. And after today's events, she was also convinced that her memory had indeed been tampered with. Perhaps, as Abuchi said, it was the Rakshasa god's doing. Bibidon secretly thought. Chapter 868. Gently hugging Bibidon's delicate body and stroking her soft long hair, Lu Yuan's heart was calm, and he felt an unprecedented sense of relief. For a long time, there had been a barrier between him and Bibidon, and that was the relationship between Chihiro Snow and Bibidon. Now that it was proven that there was no connection between them, whether it was Lu Yuan or Bibidon, both of them felt relaxed as if they had escaped from a cage. This feeling of not being bound was really good. More. Lu Yuan gently kissed Bibidon's forehead with a gentle smile on his face. Still not enough. Bibidon raised her head slightly, looked at Lu Yuan, and asked softly. Even if it's not enough, it's enough. I have to take good care of you, you're still a virgin. Lu Yuan said gently. At least you still have some conscience and know how to cherish me. Bibidon blinked her beautiful eyes and said in a tender voice. You are my Dong-er, of course I cherish you. From today onwards, you are mine, completely and completely belong to me. Lu Yuan lifted Bibidon's chin and said with a chuckle. You also completely belong to this empress, little man. Bibidon's red lips slightly opened, and a majestic aura emanated from her body. Suddenly, she changed from a weak little girl to a noble Her Holiness the Pope. Interesting. Looking at Bibidon's appearance, Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile. What a Tsunda empress. She could be weak and delicate, but she could also become graceful, luxurious, and full of majesty. Bibidon was the only one in the world who could have such a temperament. I really like you more and more, Your Holiness the Pope. Their foreheads drooped, and their eyes met. Lu Yuan's eyes were filled with strong affection. He really liked this woman more and more. Seeing the affection in Lu Yuan's eyes, Bibidon's eyes flashed, and a sweet feeling welled up in her heart. She didn't expect God to be so kind to her, Bibidon. In this life, she finally got her own love. She found someone who doted on her and loved her, and she also deeply loved him. She felt a long-lost happiness, a happiness that surged from the bottom of her heart. Abuchi, Bibidon called softly, and her pink eyes were like limpid autumn waters, gentle and moving. Dong-er. Lu Yuan also called softly, lowered his head, and sealed her cherry lips. The two's affection gradually grew thicker. Naturally, they were very intimate, but in the end, Lu was still rational, and didn't act too recklessly. When it was almost noon, the two of them finally tidied up and left the room. TSK. In the pavilion in the middle of the lake, Helena held a pair of chopsticks in her lily-white hands, and a pair of flirtatious foxy eyes looked at Lu Yuan and Bibidon, and her small mouth made TSK sounds. If you have something to say, just say it. Why do you keep staring at us like that? Lu Yuan glanced at Helena, and said softly. After saying that, he casually picked up some food for Bibidon with his chopsticks. I just want to stare at you, stinky man. You've forgotten your old love after finding a new one. You only care about picking food for teacher, but I don't see you picking food for the three of us. Helena curled her lips and said indifferently, That's right. Zhu Zhuqing glanced at Lu Yuan, and whispered softly, then lowered her little head again. He will. Maybe he hasn't remembered yet, Jiu Yuana said indifferently. The three of you. Lu Yuan shook his head helplessly. Bibidon had just had sex, and his body was weak, so he took extra care of him. These three women were talking as if he was some heartless man. Eat more. Lu Yuan said in a bad mood as he picked up some food for each of the three women with his chopsticks. Sigh, he actually needs someone to remind him. What a heartless stinky man. Helena sighed softly, and the expression on her face was a little sad, as if she was lamenting that she had met a bad man. Little fox, you want to cause trouble today, right? Lu Yuan looked at Helena, narrowed his eyes, and asked in a low voice. What do you want to do? Looking at Lu Yuan's expression, she panicked for no reason. Nothing, it's just that I might not have time to go back to my room to sleep in these few days. Lu Yuan said indifferently. His room was naturally Helena's room. Since they were young, they had lived together. If you don't want to come back, then don't come back. Who cares? Helena's heart tightened, but she still pretended not to care. Hearing this, Bibidon and Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but laugh secretly. Who didn't know that Helena was someone who missed Lu Yuan so much if she didn't see him for a day? Although she said that she didn't care, she actually cared a lot. Alright, stop teasing Nana. Why do you always like to play dirty tricks? Looking at Lu Yuan, Bibidon said coquettishly. Because teasing her is very interesting. Lu Yuan laughed softly. Hearing this, Helena couldn't help but snort, but she was happy in her heart. Oh right, Abuchi, he's already back. Jiu Yuana said softly. Hearing this, Lu Yuan nodded slightly. Jiu Yuana was referring to Di Tian. How's the situation with the Clear Sky sect? Lu Yuan asked. It's already been dealt with. Not even a fly managed to escape. Jiu Yuana said. Very good. Now that the Clear Sky sect is gone, we can proceed with the plan. Lu Yuan said. What do you want to do? Bibidon asked. Why? Dong don't you have any ideas? Lu Yuan asked with a smile. I want to hear what you have to say first. Furthermore, I want to slowly hand over the matters of the Martial Soul Palace to you. Bibidon said. Dong you? Hearing Bibidon's words, Lu Yuan was a little surprised. I've had enough of being the Pope. I only want to accompany you in the future. Bibidon said gently. Dong It was Lu Yuan's first time hearing Bibidon's affectionate confession. He couldn't help but feel a little touched. Teacher, you missed out on something. Lu Yuan was still feeling touched when Helena's voice rang out. What did I miss out on? Bibidon asked curiously. Other than accompanying Abuchi, I think you also want to give birth to his children. Helena chuckled. Hearing this, Bibidon blushed slightly. However, she didn't deny it. She did have such thoughts. That's great. My and Dong children will definitely be as handsome as me and as beautiful as Dong All of them will be extremely talented. Lu Yuan said with a smile. If your and teacher's children are extremely talented, what about us? When are you going to give us a child? Helena pressed. That's right. It's been so many years, but there's been no news at all. Zhu Zhuqing complained softly. Little Yuan, now that you've recovered, we can also. Jiu Yuana looked at Lu Yuan, her purple eyes blinking slightly as she bit her red lips, her soft voice coming from her mouth. This. Lu Yuan felt his scalp go numb as he looked at the three girls who were trying to persuade him to have a child. Chapter 869. Say something, why aren't you saying anything? Seeing that Lu Yuan was silent, Helena couldn't help but urge. I can only say that I'll try my best. It depends on fate. Nea knows best that my bloodline is too strong. It's a bit difficult to pass it down to my descendants. Lu Yuan spread his hands and said helplessly. Hearing this, the three women couldn't help but look at Jiu Yuana. That's true. It's useless to force him. It really depends on fate. Being stared at by the three women, Jiu Yuana nodded and said. Then it's even more important to force him. After all, the more times there are, the higher the probability. Helena said. Hearing Helena's words, the corner of Lu Yuan's mouth couldn't help but twitch. This little fox was as lively as ever. She said everything smoothly, but her idea was not wrong. It was quite reasonable. Hearing Helena's words, the three women's faces changed again, and they all looked at Lu Yuan. Okay, stop looking at me. It's better to think of ways to improve yourselves. None of you can fight. Lu Yuan said with disdain. Humph, humph, humph. 3 consecutive snorts sounded. Bibidon, Helena, and Zhu Zhuqing's eyes were full of hostility. What are you looking at? Am I lying? Lu Yuan said indifferently. As soon as these words came out, the three women's eyes became even more hostile. Abuchi, I think you have some misunderstanding about me. Do you include me? Jiu Yuana said faintly. Of course, not. You're definitely much stronger than them. Lu Yuan said. That's more like it. Jiu Yuana said with a soft smile. However, while Jiu Yuana was happy, Bibidon and the other two were even more angry. They all looked at Lu Yuan with eyes full of resentment. Ahem, let's get down to business. Being stared at by the three girls like this, Lu Yuan couldn't take it anymore and immediately changed the topic. Then I'll let you off for now. I'll deal with you later. Bibidon's voice was slightly cold. That's right, teacher. Count me in later, Helena said. +1. Zhu Zhuqing chimed in. This time, they've really angered everyone. Lu Yuan smiled bitterly. He regretted what he had just said. If he had known, he wouldn't have provoked them. All right, tell me, what do you plan to do next? Bibidon asked calmly. Since the soul hunting mission is over, we have nothing to worry about in the Heaven Do Empire. Furthermore, Cher has basically taken control of the Heaven Do Empire over the past few years. Therefore, the Snowy Night Emperor can send her to heaven. It's time to completely devour the Heaven Do Empire. Lu Yuan said. The Clear Sky Sect and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect are already gone. What about the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect? Have you thought about it? What if they cause trouble? Bibidon asked. The 7 Treasures Glazed Sect alone can't do anything. Furthermore, I won't give them a chance to cause trouble. Lu Yuan shook his head and said. Then how do you plan to deal with the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect? Bibidon asked softly. Abuchi, don't forget about Rong Rong. Don't hurt her. Before Lu Yuan could speak, Zhu Zhuqing's voice rang out. I naturally won't hurt her. She's my woman. In fact, without Rong Rong, the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect would have been gone. Lu Yuan said calmly. Aren't you in a cooperative relationship with the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect? Zhu Zhuqing asked doubtfully. A cooperative relationship doesn't mean much. A cooperative relationship can only restrain him, but not me. To me, this relationship can be stopped at any time. He's still relying on soul tools, but I don't lack money anymore. However, Ning Fengji made the right move in the end. He successfully made me fall in love with Rong Rong. I can be ruthless to others, but I can't be ruthless to my own woman. It's because of this that he protected the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect. Lu Yuan said gently. Then how do you plan to deal with the 7 treasures glazed sect? Zhu Zhuqing asked curiously. What else can I do? I can only take them in, Lu Yuan said. What if Ning Fengji doesn't agree? Hu Lena asked. He'll agree. He's a smart person. Smart people know what's good for them. Furthermore, Rong Rong and I are engaged. We're considered family. He won't resist too much, Lu Yuan said. You've planned everything. It's just that Rong Rong has been wronged. Zhu Zhuqing felt that it was unfair for Ning Rongrong. This is the best for Rongrong. Otherwise, it would be the cruelest for Rongrong if Ning Fengji and I met on the battlefield and completely wiped out the 7 treasures glazed sect. Furthermore, Rongrong was the one who took the initiative to participate in the game between me and Ning Fengji. I've never thought of dragging her in. On the other hand, Ning Fengji has been using her precious daughter to scheme something. Lu Yuan said softly. What you said is true. Zhu Zhuqing sighed softly. The memory of Ning Rongrong drugging Lu Yuan was still vivid in her mind. She liked Ning Rongrong very much, and had a good relationship with her. However, she had to admit that Lu Yuan had never taken the initiative in his relationship with Ning Rongrong. She couldn't blame him. Since you're confident of taking over the 7 treasures glazed sect, I'll leave them to you. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Bibidon said. Leave it to me. Lu Yuan nodded and said. By the way, there's something I have to do, Lu Yuan said. What's the matter? Bibidon asked. Although the poison share gave the Snowy Night Emperor is special, there's still one person who can cure it. Therefore, this person has to be killed. Who? Bibidon asked. Yang Wudi of the Poji clan. Lu Yuan's indifferent voice sounded. The Poji clan, one of the 4 single-attribute subordinate clans of the Clear Sky sect? Bibidon looked at Lu Yuan and asked. Yes, the poison share gave him came from the Poji clan, Lu Yuan said. Since that's the case, let's kill them. Kill the other 3 clans as well. Since the Clear Sky sect is gone, there's no need for them to exist anymore, Bibidon said. Do as you wish. I don't mind. The non-allergic clan has a crystal blood dragon ginseng that's very useful to Nana. It complements the yearning heartbroken red. You can bring it back. Lu Yuan reminded. He didn't care about the survival of the other 3 single-attribute clans. However, the crystal blood dragon ginseng was worth his attention. I know. I'll be careful. Bibidon nodded and said. Since it was very useful to Hu Lena, she would naturally be careful. After all, Hu Lena was the 2nd most important person in her heart. Then it's settled. I'll discuss the details with Cher when I get to Heaven Do. However, you can make the first move. Lu Yuan said softly. I'll arrange it as soon as possible, Bibidon replied with a smile. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.